All right, everybody. This is pretty special, monumental occasion for me because this is my first one with Starlink. I've dealt with shitty Mexican internet for years, and I did not get a new system because you had to order them by post, and the Mexican post is just straight up terrible. But turns out you can buy the kit at Home Depot, and here we are. So once I knew I could buy the kit at Home Depot and I didn't have to deal with the postal system here, which is a total fucking clusterfuck, we're online, baby. We're online and it's working, and it's easily the fastest, least glitchiest internet. Although I've only had it for a weekend, so like, give me some time to experience some challenges and errors. But here we are with Starlink. Welcome. Just quick little announcement before we get rock and rolling. We are doing an event in LA. It's going to be end of June, 26th and 27th. Exactly 40 spots because that's how many people fit in the room. And we have sold, I want to say 6 or 7 spots already since I first announced it. So it's not like you guys are short on time, but we're doing a discount for anybody who wants to get in early, which means you can get it half off for the next week and a half. So I just put a link to that. If you guys want to be part of that, come join it. If you don't, go fuck yourself. No, I'm just kidding. I still love you guys, even if you don't come. Anyways, for those of you guys who don't know me already, by the way, my name's Frankie Finn. Wrote those 2 best-selling books, grown 3 agencies. Been doing this almost 20 years, helped thousands of you guys, and trying to do my best to share the sauce. Anyways, let's get into the good stuff. Let's get going for real. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Frankie Finn proudly brings you our weekly Q&A. With the golden dad guns, His Holiness, the greatest of all time, 170 pounds of pure steel and sex appeal. All right, let's get into the first question. Here we got Talha says, so I was thinking of doing a hand raiser on Facebook and do cold email outreach, simply thinking about working on inbound and outbound both. Would it be better or problematic? So I have a concept. I actually have talked to our mastermind folks about this. I call it one plus. So like, in the real world, you do, hence the little bit of a pattern interrupt. But I found in marketing and advertising, if somebody hears from you 3 different times in 3 different ways, it has like a tenfold effect. So I used to see this when lawyers would run TV ads, radio spots, billboards. That's like really prominent in that industry. And if you do all 3 of those babies at the same time, it has like a 10 effect. So same kind of thing if you're doing inbound and outbound. But what I think is really, really important, and not enough people talk about this, is I think you have to do advertising and prospecting methods that are sustainable for you personally. So what I mean by that is, like, I see people that get all gung-ho on day one. It's kind of like exercise, right? Like January 1st, everybody's excited about their new exercise routine. By February 1st, they're canceled. And a lot of times it's because they do it in a way that's unsustainable. So I think the more prospecting you do, the better, the more money you're going to make. The more offers you make, the more money you'll make. Those are the most 2 correlated metrics on earth. But the flip side of that is you want to do it in a way that's sustainable, where you don't just go all gung-ho for a week and then take your foot off the gas. You want to do it in a way you can keep going. What's up, Johnny? Johnny Ape. What a cool username. So, like, both work, and both will work better if you do them together. But don't do it in a way where you're just going to go hard on it for a week and then give up. Like, don't exercise for a week. Figure out a way, instead of like going really hard on exercise for a week, go really, like, or how people go really hard on prospecting for a week. I just said hard on, by the way. But don't just like unsustainably blast it and then, drop off after a week. Do it in a way where you can sustain it over the long haul. I always say, like, you can grow an agency substantially in an hour a day of needle moving activity. By the way, when I did my 90-day challenge, that's all I had was an hour a day. And actually some days less than that. I did it when my kids napped, which is like sometimes an hour, sometimes not, but you can move the needle with an hour a day. So make it happen, Captain. Caitlyn says, anyone have a good example of an email review request sequence? Mine are too corporate sounding and not converting. So email review, I asked her a follow-up question. This was on Facebook, and she's talking about getting Google reviews. I'll tell you what's worked for us for years is just talking like you would to a person, which is, thank you. We appreciate you. We'd love to have you back. And hey, this helps other people to know if this is a good decision or not. Would you kindly leave us a Google review? That's it. Not corporate-y sounding at all. Thank you. We appreciate you. This helps other people decide. We'd love to have you back. Would you kindly leave us a review? That's it, right? I'm sure you could do different things, but that's what's always worked for us. And by the way, I've tested a lot of subject lines over the years because, we've done a lot of shit. Number one subject line that gets open. Thank you, person's name. So whether you're doing an email or a text message, hey, thank you, like that gets people's attention. Because it's so rare that businesses actually say thank you and say we appreciate you. So it stands out. Max says, first 5 clients, Zoom or Loom, starting out with a niche local SEO agency targeting contractors. For the first 5 clients, would you go with live Zoom sales calls or send Loom audits first? My thinking is to start with Zoom on so I can learn how these guys think and handle objections before trying to scale with Loom. What do you do when you're starting out? All right, Max. So that's a really intelligent question, right? So we want to use the right tool for the right job. I don't think enough people talk about this, right? Like converting sales forward to me is a lot like a golf course. And if you're on a golf course and you're 450 yards away, you get out that fucking driver and you go wham, and you do some Happy Gilmore and you smash it, right? But if you're on the green, and you take out the driver, it's like the worst possible club you can do. I'm just noticing, by the way, I'm having some bad heads still, but whatever. You guys don't care. So anyways, so when you're first trying to do this, what a lot of people try and do is they skip to, I want to automate the ever living fuck out of this with Loom. And the problem is if it's never worked on a human being before and you never got a real person to say yes, you're going to automate something that doesn't work. And so I see this all the time is people want to automate before they've actually talked to a prospect and got a yes. So there's a tendency to think that you have to then do sales calls. But I'm going to tell you there's a medium that I like to do personally. I'm not saying you have to do this, but I like to lean into conversations. But I find the best way to do that is with text, email, messenger, whatever. Like, in your case, it's probably going to be text because you're dealing with contractors. But you can still ask questions to them in a non-threatening way and do it over text. And I prefer to do it that way for a couple of reasons. One, it's non-threatening, so they're more likely to give you a real answer. And 2, you can go back and reread their answers to help you dial in your automated video process, right? And often the difference between video close and here's my credit card and no go is one little teeny tiny objection. And often where one person has an objection is where they all have an objection. And usually the objections are of the form, this sounds like something I tried that didn't work before. So that's my way of saying, like, yes, lean into conversations when it's new, but you don't necessarily have to do Zoom calls either. Contractors, by the way, are some of the notoriously hardest to get to show up for scheduled meetings because they don't really work on a schedule. They're more like, I'll come by there, maybe about 4:00 when I finish up over here, right? They're not like a dentist or a surgeon who every block of time is scheduled and they have appointments and, your 2:00 appointment, or like an attorney, like office types tend to run on appointments. Contractors don't. So if you try and get them on appointments and do like Zoom sessions, they might not even show up for half of those. Flip side of that is, if you just text it out and say, hey, I got a question for you, blah, blah, blah. What do you think of this? What do you think about that? What are you trying to do with that? And you ask them questions, like you can go back, reread that. And then often I'll put their exact wording and phrases into the Loom video. So I'll give you an example. Like when I first started working with attorneys, they would say, I just need more clients. And then I would say, well, what do you tell me more about that? And they would say, well, I have roller coaster income. And I would say, what do you mean by roller coaster income? And they would say, well, I have a couple of referral partners and they send me a bunch of business. Some months I make $2,000 or nothing. Some months I make $100,000. The problem is I don't know whether I should be scaling this and building a team or whether I should be conserving cash to keep the lights on. But all I know is I have a business I have no control over and I hate it. I don't know whether next month is going to be a good month or a bad month. And I heard that probably like 50 times in a row. And eventually I got smart enough. And then what would happen is and this was when I still did calls, but I would get on a call with them and they'd say, I need more clients. And I'd say, hey, attorney Joe or whatever, I'd say, do you need more clients because you have roller coaster income, and you have roller coaster income because you're dependent on between 3 to 6 referral partners, and those referral partners send you almost no business some months and 100,000 other months, and you don't know whether you're going to have a huge month or a bad month, and you should be conserving cash or hiring. All you know is you got a business you have no control over and you hate it. And they would go, oh my God, that's me. And you're like 90% of the way to the sale in one question. So if I was today to automate that and put it in a video, my video would start, hey, dear attorney, if you just need more clients because you got roller coaster income because you're dependent on between 3 to 6 referral partners, and you have good months and bad months, and you don't know whether you should hire a team or scale. All you know is you got a business you have no control over, and you hate it. I'm going to show you right now how to turn on the Facebook ads mechanism and be able to book clients just like this, for motor vehicle accident stuff, and it would crush on day one. But that's because I got that from conversations. So you are right. Lean into conversations in the beginning, but it can be done all over text, and you'll get better answers over text. We got Sean saying, can you talk about how to make A2P as easy as possible, or if there are better alternatives? Really annoying to deal with when you have multiple clients. Honestly, I don't have a good answer for you on that, Sean. That's a pain in the ass for a lot of us. I will say there are some tools that some of our people use in real estate that the A2P is way easier than the process through Twilio and through GHL. But honestly, I have my team do that, so I don't even have a good answer for you how they do it. But yes, I've heard constant nightmares about that from different people. And I would just, set expectations with clients that may be the case, and you let them know it's the government and Twilio and approval and not you, and you'll get it. You'll do it as fast as humanly possible. But I don't have a good answer for you. What are the biggest objections home services businesses have to AI chat and receptionist? So a couple of things. Firstly, Andy, I think most people, the way they sell it is very sort of incorrect. Okay. So the way they sell it is what it is. By the way, what it is and why people buy it are different things. And if you learn the difference between those, you'll speak to why they buy it, not what it is. Okay. So home services business, they want two things basically. Okay. One is, eliminate the spam calls. So they get a lot of spam calls from like Angie's List, people looking for a job. They get Google spam. Hello, sir. We will get you top Google #1 ranking guaranteed, right? Like they get those calls. So they get a lot of spam. I've heard from contractors, they say, I don't even want to pick up my phone anymore. And then the other thing that they want to move towards is like the actual homeowners and the estimates booked, right? Like they want the real people to go through. They want the good jobs. If I was to sell an AI chatbot or receptionist, what I would focus on is beginning with doing two things. One is let me be your evenings and weekends. Why? Because that creates an add-on offer. So that means you do not have to fire your receptionist, or we'll pick up after 3 rings, right? You get all the calls you get, but if you don't pick it up in 3 rings, this can just be your backup, because otherwise you have to convince them to fire their receptionist, which is like harder than you think, right? A lot of times we don't realize when you sell a replacement offer, they have to fire somebody. So position it as an add-on. And then the biggest thing that I've heard is like, is it going to sound like shit? Is it going to sound like AI? Is it going to make me look stupid? And the biggest way to reduce that objection is to play a demo so they can hear it and go, hey, that's actually pretty fucking good. And people go, yeah, I want that. So I hope that's helpful both for selling it and removing the objections. But I would start as an add-on. Evenings and weekends, pay as you go. And then move into the, hey, let me get anything you miss after 3 rings. And then once they get used to having it, there's this thing that people do in furniture sales, like a couple of the big furniture companies. So some of them, what they'll do is, if you're looking at a bed, they'll create, like they have this rollout room. It's like a mock bedroom, and they'll put you inside of it so you can lay in the bed as yours. And then what they'll say, a lot of them is they'll say, we have financing options. Take it home for 30 days, try it out. Use it as your bed. If you don't like it, you can give it back in 30 days. And by the way, no one ever gives it back, because once it's your bed, you don't want to give it back. So same thing with AI. Like if you can just get your foot in the door with it as an add-on, then you can expand those offerings once you're there. You can say, hey, we could also do this. We can also do that. But getting your foot in the door is half the battle. And I would probably start with evenings and weekends, pay as you go. And then and just try it out. You weren't going to get those calls anyway, right? You weren't going to answer those. Paul says, thoughts on OpenClaw. I find it super interesting, but I'm not using it yet, so I don't really have a lot to say on it. I just partly because I heard about all the security issues, how it has access to your banking and your email and all that, and so I was like, that sounds a little scary to me. We do have some people in our mastermind that are putting it on like servers or a computer that nobody uses or doesn't have any data. So I mean, I don't know. I'm excited to see what it can do, but at the same time, I'm also hesitant. I usually let other people take the arrows to the chest. I'm okay with being the second wave in the war. So I don't really have anything good to tell you on that. Frankie, last week I complained about cold DMs not working. And you said for 2 reasons. So I came up with the idea of creating a directory and reach out to these businesses with like, verify, update info. That's a proven angle, just so you know. The whole like, hey, we're trying to get your directory listing correct. They will reply simply on that basis and send a Loom video or something and close them. I will get my directory sorted out in 2 days. Curious to know your take on this. Yeah, like I said, it's a proven thing. I wouldn't try and so half the battle with cold DMs, just so you guys know, is just getting them to respond at all. Once they're responding, you can go somewhere. But if they just are ghosting you or ignoring you, it's really hard to calibrate without conversation. So that like I would reach out if I was doing that and just say like, hey, we just want to verify your info for our directory. Can you confirm this is correct? And then I would, when they respond and say, yeah, this is our info, I'd say, also, we have this other thing. Would you be interested in that? And I would hand raise them. That would be like my sort of 2-step. And then also it's a value add because you're including them in a directory. So they're far more likely to respond to the second request than the first. Like for example, I have a guy who he does this locally. This is his acquisition model. He calls up local businesses and says, hey, we want to get you featured on our blog. They write a blog article about them. And then when they're talking, they say, hey, we got this Facebook ads thing. If he just sent the, hey, we got this Facebook ads thing, they probably wouldn't respond nearly as well as if I want to feature you first, right? And all it is a fucking AI generated blog article that takes, 90 seconds to create and publish and add some images, but it has a profound impact on that relationship because now like there's a reputation effect of we've been featured, we're prestigious, we're on, San Antonio's finest.com or whatever. Deacon Nick says, I'm doing something similar, building a city-specific directory and reaching out to interview them for the directory or inviting them to a contractor school group as another lead magnet for sure. That's a smart strategy in general. Is, like I said, the hardest part of outreach is getting them to respond at all. And I find, by the way, if you want to really, really simplify messaging strangers to like its simplest form, if you message them a take that is about you, you are going to find it a lot harder than if you make it a give about them. So if you think about the directory, it's, I want to give you a listing. I want to feature you. That's why they respond, right? Because it's a fucking give. What most people do is I am, my company is, our service name is, I hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing well. Everybody who cold DMs me just hopes I'm doing well that day. And then they say, give me your time, jump on a call, right? You don't know me. Here's my service. Let me take your time, right? That's going to always be harder than I made something for you. It'll help you. And getting them featured, by the way, may not have a monetary return, but it has a reputation. And a lot of businesses, like, they geek out over how they think they're perceived in the marketplace. In fact, some clients will fight you on winning ads just because, like, it doesn't fit our brand. It made me $1 million, but it doesn't fit our brand. You'll be amazed at how people, like, how they care about their perceived reputation. Jason Speckard, I am good at getting $600 for a 4x3 and 9-inch by 12-inch mailer that hits 10,000 doors, but I want continuity with something like them GHL. I'm just not good at it. What do you recommend I do? It's hard to give you kind of specifics because you're telling me about a mailer, but not to who or what you do for them. But I would say, like, there are plenty of business needs that are ongoing. Like, customers are going to be forever on, like, leads, customers, whatever. Reviews are never ending. The need to upsell, cross-sell, like, that's never ending. Businesses are exceptionally bad at that. So, like, I always just go back to the basics. Start with the person you want to do it for. Get a really clear problem that they have. Identify one of those problems. And if you're not sure, by the way, the problems, I'm going to post this for the 12,000 times. I'm probably going to post this on every single live this year, but I built my market research in ChatGPT to tell you exactly what their problems are. And just pick one of those. And pick one of those if you're not sure. Ask ChatGPT as a follow-up question to the market research to say, help me identify which one of these problems are recurring. Recurring problems mean recurring payments. Simple as that. Why do you keep paying the electricity company? Right? Because you're going to need electricity next month and the month after that and the month after that. So, you start with a recurring problem, and then, you can use a GHL solution. You can also use white label partners. For those of you guys who've never done that, I'm just going to give you guys a link to my white labels partner as it's where it's at today. White label partners are people you can subcontract work to. So like if say SEO, like they want to do SEO and you don't want to do it, you can hire, one of these white label companies and have them actually do the work. So you wouldn't charge $250 to $800 per month. You charge per call booked plus setup. I was thinking of monthly subscription rather than performance. Just looking at your previous questions. Here's the thing, by the way, if you get it in the right hands of businesses that are going to use it a lot and have a lot of volume already, you'll actually make more as pay-per use than performance. And the easiest way to tell that they have volume, Andy, is twofold. One, they're running advertisements now. So like I would offer this to people, for example, running Google ads or Facebook ads, or ideally both. And also the size of their team. So if they got like a team of 20, like that's a probably $5 to $10 million roofing company if they got 20 people already, right? Like people don't work for free. In fact, one of my easiest ways to find out how much money a company has without saying, hey, how much money you guys got to pay me anyway, right? Is I say, hey, if you don't mind me asking, how big is your team? And a lot of times you don't even need to ask because it's listed on the website. They'll have a picture of everybody. But if you're not sure, I just ask them, how big is your team? And what I'm really asking is, how much money y'all making? And if the answer is like one guy, you're looking at the team, they're going to have a lot less money than if they give you an answer that's, hey, we got 20 people. Or ideally they say, well, we got 15 in our San Antonio location, another 10 who work remotely and blah, blah, blah. If they have multiple locations, that you can charge those people $250 to $800 a month. Don't get me wrong, but those people will go way over their usage and pay you like, $3,500 a month. And you'll make it easier to sell with a pay as you use it kind of thing. So it's up to you. I'm not telling you what you have to do. I'm just giving you options. Both models can work. So this isn't like a have to. I'm just saying for me, the longer I do this, the more I'm willing to put risk on myself to make higher fees. Like I do more partnerships these days than retainer clients. If I do 5 partnerships, sometimes in 3 of those, I'll make money and in 2 of them I won't. But I'll make way more money on the 3 than I would with 50 retainer clients. So it's like, yeah, okay, I don't get paid 2 of the times, but who cares? Do businesses really call a business 3 times in a row to activate the AI bot? It's usually 1 or 2, not 3 calls, 3 rings. Sorry, I think I said that wrong. So we have people who do it. So if the business doesn't pick up in the first 3 rings, then it switches over to their AI solution, and it's not. They can still answer the phone, but if they're busy, like, for example, like contractors, often like a roofer's on the fucking roof. So he doesn't pick up the phone because he's on the roof. Well, if it rings 3 times, now the AI receptionist is getting that, but he still has an opportunity to pick up the phone, right? Like, so I didn't mean 3 calls. I meant 3 rings. So if I said 3 calls, I meant that incorrectly. But I was talking to Sean Clark the other day. I just did a video on here. I don't know if you guys saw it, but GHL has the capacity after 3 rings to switch without them switching the phone number, which is pretty gangster. Frankie, how do we work with you? Tried to buy your Loom course. Your Stripe was in test mode. My Loom thing inside of GHL doesn't work. But if you guys are interested in the old Loom Aruski, but I'm actually having a live event. I'll post a link for you guys. And we're actually building these phoneless systems in person. So if you guys are interested, come hang with me in person. That is a link to the event. I probably should have put event, but we do have a Loom course. I don't know how to, by the way, and if anybody you guys want to make a buck, show me how to get GHL out of test mode. But this is from our store. the Loom course. But I don't know why it does that, but how does that work? Deacon Nick and Money UFO, you guys should connect, by the way. Made alive, finally. Here we are. There you go. You made it. Would running a text message reactivation campaign and for Google reviews be close to the golf hole? Yes, because who you typically send it to. So for those of you guys not familiar with Paul's question, I have a concept that I call close to the hole. So if you think about a high ticket conversion as a process and not an event, a good analogy is like a golf course. So, right, like in a golf course, somebody starts 450 yards away, you get out the driver and you smash it. And then, if you do your job right, they're in the fairway. And then you might sometimes, depending on how far away it is, it might take 1-2 more shots to get on the green. If you're a good golfer, if you're like me, it'll take you like 40. But that's neither here nor there. But anyways, then you get a little bit closer and putt. And what happens is when you get into businesses and they think about making more money, which is what they're after, almost always they think the only possible way to do that is to get new strangers. In other words, to drive the ball 450 yards, bring me new people. And if you understand that they're wrong and that there are balls they have dropped all over the golf course, then you can work those opportunities in reverse and you can make both them and yourself easier money. In fact, like, one of the examples I wrote about in my book, but this was just a friend of mine. He called me up. He's a serial entrepreneur who buys businesses. He bought a roofing company in Los Angeles and it closed March of 2020. Then all the lockdowns started, world went crazy. He wasn't planning on that. So the roofing company, when he originally went to acquire it, was cash flowing like 30, 40 grand a month profit, right? So I think it was doing like 120 per month or something. And it was like 30, 25%, something like that. So he's making like 30 grand a month. Then the lockdowns happened. Now he's losing 30 grand a month and his business has dropped by 50%. Okay. And he's thinking about, am I going to have to fire a team? He even said to me, I might have to give this business back to the bank. I just invested in this, like, fuck. And he said the magic line all businesses say. He said, I need more new people. And I know from experience that there are balls all over the golf course that are closer to the hole than new people. And one of those is past clients. So I said, do you have past clients? He said, yeah, we got 17 years of them. I said, where? He said, he sent me a picture back. It was a back room full of invoices. Not a lot of people really think about what those invoices represent. That is every person in 17 years that has ever given you a credit card in those invoices. So I said, can you have your assistant turn that into a spreadsheet? Took him a week. She sent it to me. I sent an email. It went something like this. It said, hey, it's your roofer. I don't remember the exact wording. I'm just kind of like going off memory here. But hey, it's your roofer. We miss you. I know we haven't talked in a while, but if you got any leaks or stuff you've been putting off, or you got any friends and family that need some help, I'd love to help you again. That was the email. Call me. Okay. Didn't talk to David for like, I don't know, somewhere like 3 to 6 months. We talk again. I said, David, how's it going with that roofing company? He said, oh, I forgot to tell you, we made a few $100 grand from that email you sent. We were able to stay afloat. Now, why did that message work? Okay. It is not because that message was so fucking brilliant. It worked because those people were close to the hole, right? Those are people who had already bought it and paid him and given him money before, given that company money, not him, because he had just acquired it. So when you're asking for Google reviews and you're doing a reactivation, the reason why that works quickly is not because the messaging is brilliant, because they're close to the hole. So if you think about a restaurant, restaurants always think they need new people, but they never capture the contact info of people coming to the restaurant. So if you had to try and make double the money in a restaurant, what most restaurants would do is try and double the number of people coming in the door. But if you just took a person who came in once a week, captured their contact info and made an offer so they came in twice a week, somebody already coming to that restaurant saying, hey, we got a special today, come on in for the special, they would double the revenue without adding a single person. And so what you have to learn, that what businesses are really after is new money, not necessarily new people. They believe they're fully optimized across the golf course and they're not. So to answer your question in the longest way possible, Paul, yes, a reactivation is for Google reviews is close to the hole. And the reason it's close to the hole because those are people who've already bought from them. Wow, 3 rings. That's pretty sick. How does one set that up, Sean? That's a little bit above my pay grade. I have people who do that. Inside of the link I put for the recommended providers, there are GHL people that we use. So I don't know. I just tell them, I'm trying to make it. After 3 rings, do this. Can you set it up for me? And then usually they take an hour or two and they go, okay, it works. That's how I set it up. I'm not saying that's the way to set it up. Ryan Egger, pro golfer in real life, amateur golfer on Frankie's golf model. There you go, buddy. I didn't realize that was you, Ryan. What's up, brother? M.A. Raman says message retracted. I'm assuming that means he was swearing or linking to pornography. Midget porn. We're not judging you for the midget porn, brother. Actually, fun little story. I used to work on computers when I was like in high school. I had a buddy who was he got kicked out from living at home, and he was sleeping on my floor, like a mattress on my floor. And after like a month, he's like, man, I need to do something. And he wasn't in college. He wasn't making any money. And he just felt like a deadbeat. And I was his biggest naysayer. So he went up to these bowling alleys and he hugged, the little ads that are like pull tabs. He said, fix computers, your home, like 11 years experience, $30 an hour or $40 an hour. I think he put, and I was like, Wayne, nobody's going to call you. And he got like 3-4 calls from that one ad. And I was blown away. And like my mind, $40 an hour might as well have been $1 trillion at that point in life. And so I was like, man, if 10 ads got 4 calls, then 1,000 ads we'll get like 400 calls. We're in business. And I began a computer repair business. And whenever you would go to repair somebody's computer, you'd be amazed at how often the issues are like virus related to go into some sketchy porno websites. So I used to always say to people, hey, listen, there's something you need to know. The reason why your computer's broken is because you're watching too much porn. And then they would go, oh, and I'd say, but also computers don't work if you don't have any porn. So you got to find that optimal middle amount. And they would always laugh. So anyways, that's fun. Yeah, I can help you get out of those test mode. We run our agency off of GHL. There you go. Many contractors have told me sales calls going unanswered during peak hours at nights and on the weekends is an expensive problem. You open to a 5-minute video that shows the solution. Is this good? Yeah, but I would actually first start. So this is a thing that like nobody really talks about, Jason. I had a mentor say this to me years ago, and this is $1 million writer downer statement. He said, in their mind, they are buying their way out of their problem and not into your solution. I'll tell you why that matters. Okay, let me say that again. They're buying their way out of their problem, not into your solution. Most agencies can tell me what their solution is. Our AI voice solution, missed call, text back, GHL SaaS, Facebook ads, web design. Those are all solutions. What you really, really, really need to hammer home for the contract is how expensive losing calls that you're already paying for, that you got team and staff, and hammer home every time you miss a phone call. It's work missed for your guys. And why does that matter? Why does it matter if they don't get work for their guys? Because it's very binary as a business owner. Okay. When you have a team, anytime you got work for them, they generally make you money. When you don't have work for them, they lose you money. So like you're losing $30 an hour plus health benefits, plus insurance, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Gas in the car. Well, they go, what do you want me to do now, boss? You got to connect that every time they're fucking slow, every time they're sitting around losing business, you got to like really hammer home the problem. And I like to do that visually in a simple way. So I just show a picture of your guys standing around going, what do you want us to do now, boss? And I go, every time you miss a phone call, that's what's happening. And instead, you could have booked homeowners. And I show the problem and the solution side by side. And what I don't show is the AI thing that's going to fix it. I show their problem and their desired outcome side by side. So you're missing calls, and as a result, your guys are standing around, thumbs up their asses, getting $40 an hour, going, what do you want us to do now, boss? And instead, you could have them face-to-face with homeowners, given real written estimates. Which of those do you want? All you got to do is get better at answering the phone. Let me show you how you're going to get better at answering the phone. And if you skip that detail, if you do not relate it to their problem, I don't know if you guys have heard this, but all sales are emotional. And if you skip into the solution, they will never feel an emotion about your solution, but they will feel an emotion about their problem. Because, man, I'll tell you, like I used to have like a team of like 40, 45 virtual assistants, and they would come to me daily and go, what do you want me to do today, boss? That was painful, just so you know. Painful, because I knew I was paying them money to like, what do you want me to do? We're just wasting 2 hours a day. So yes, you want to make a 5-minute video, and yes, that's a good DM, but emphasize what they're losing now. Make that real. You don't need to exaggerate that, by the way. emphasize just how much money you're losing now. And then what happens is when you say it's only $500 a month to fix, hey, you're losing $40,000 a month in missed calls and work for your guys and jobs and blah, blah, blah. But for $500 a month, we can make all that shit go away, or most of it. Now all of a sudden, like, your solution seems cheap. If you just jump right into the solution, you're like, $500 a month sounds like a take, not a, hey, this will solve a $40,000 a month problem or whatever it is. So I just want to emphasize that detail because not enough people really understand that. And they skip the part the business owner cares about, which is them and their situation and their problem. Hey, Frankie, I tried everything correct. Like you say, talk about output, specific jobs they want, but why can't I get response? Can you suggest me on subject line to pitch, like dentist, plumbing, where the Looms comes first or second message? I never send a Loom cold. We have people who do. So like it can work that way, but I don't personally. So firstly, if you're missing, like, go run the market research bot because you're probably just missing what they actually want. But as far as you're not getting a response, the biggest reason people don't get a response besides messaging is they're not even sending messages to the right people in the first place. So you want to get a targeted list of people who have a proven history of buying what you sell. It sounds like really simple when you say it. Like, for example, like I'm a small time real estate investor. So I like do some wholesaling. We do like 10 to 30K a month. It's run through virtual assistants. I'm not a major real estate guy, but I've learned a lot from it. And I'm, eventually going to scale that baby up. But anyways, so real estate. Okay. So when you get a house under contract and you go to sell it, do you know who people who make for the best buyers is the people who are A, buying now, B, buying now cash, and C, buying multiple properties now cash. So if I pull a list of people in the area that have bought 7 different fix and flip properties, it's so much easier to sell that person an eighth than to try and sell to somebody who's never bought a house. We think of this as an afterthought, typically in agency world. You'll start just messaging dentists. But like, if you message 100 dentists, 80 of them typically don't buy the kinds of things that you sell. Ergo, you can write a perfect message, say the right thing, check all the boxes and do all the right things, and it doesn't fucking matter. I compare it to, like, imagine I say to you, I want to sell some barbecue ribs, and then I give you a plane ticket and I send you to the Jewish Vegetarian Conference. Like, what are you going to say? What are you going to do? What kind of offer? And the answer is nothing. Nothing's going to work. So that's the first detail I check. If you're sending outreach, my question is to who? Because if you get that detail wrong, paddling up shit's creek. We're not selling shoes to people who buy shoes. Second thing is, like, the messaging itself. And almost always, like I said, like, it's hard to say without your specific message being seen. But the 2 biggest mistakes people make with it, like with the messaging, they talk about the wrong thing and they talk about the wrong person. Wrong thing is your service. Wrong person is you. So I can almost tell who you're talking about based on the first word in your sentence. I am, we are, company name is. If it's I, me, us, we, company name does, blah, blah, blah. You're talking about the wrong person and the wrong thing, and they're never going to care about you. Flip side of that is if you have this problem, you have this thing going on, your company, your business name, you. That means you're likely to be talking about the right person and the right thing. So my messaging format that's worked for years is just, I say something personalized about them. Saw you guys are in Dallas with, 12 people and you've been doing it since 2007. Have an idea for you to get this type of person. Mind if I send you a little video with some details? That's it. And it's meant to be casual. A lot of times people don't realize, but they make their outreach a big, heavy decision. Here's our company. Here's our service. We charge this per month. Would you like to jump on a call and spend the next hour discussing this with me? That's a big fucking decision. Versus, hey, saw you guys are doing this. Got this cool idea for you. Mind if I shoot it over? Like, that's casual. That's small. That's not a heavy, so it's hard to say without looking at your message. But, those are the 2 biggest things that I see routinely is sending it to people who never proven to buy it in the first place. And then secondly, and then as far as your subject line, my subject lines that have worked are either just, hey, person's name, or question about, and then their business name. So in my case, it'd be like, hey, Frankie, or question about beyond the agency box, right? Like question about their thing. And I at least gets them to open it. And then, when they respond, that's when I move into sending videos. Sean says, hey, let's say you're a roofer and you have past clients. Most people only have one house or one roof. So where do those new jobs come from? Past customers that luckily know someone else who needs a new roof. Yeah, it's both. So they do get business from past customers, depending on where they live, by the way. Like, give it 10 years. Like in David's case, he had people who've been on his list for 17 years, right? 17 years, like the roof you put on 17 years ago does not last till eternity, just so you know. Right. And also, if you message them 17 years later, they're not going to be mad to see if you need a new one. Secondly, of course, they know friends and family. And we don't think about this, but they're not thinking about us. Also, most people don't realize this, but most high ticket sales die in what I call shades of gray. So people tend to think about high ticket sales as yes or no, binary, in or out. But a lot of times in reality, people are in the shades of gray where they're sort of in between. And what I mean by that, I'll give you a real life example. So we had some car troubles, and dealing with mechanics in Mexico is just a total fucking nightmare. So I started texting dealerships. I'm like, fuck this, Ilka, we're getting a new car. And I start texting them, and I was dealing with like 9 of them. And then I remember the next day I had an event. I want to say it was Sam Carlson's event in Boise, but I don't know. I've had a bunch of events over the last, 6, 12 months. But anyways, I flew somewhere and went away. Okay. So what happens is I cooled off on buying a new car. Okay. But what I didn't go to zero. I didn't go to no. I didn't go to, I will never buy a car. I just cooled off a little bit. Right. But I'm still thinking about doing it. And so I have a term for this. I call these people on the fence. They're still thinking about doing it. And it does not matter what you sell. If you sell anything that's sort of high ticket, like this probably isn't true for a $1 Snickers bar. People are not sitting on the fence for hours and hours about a Snickers bar. But if you sell a $20,000 service, so I'll give you an example. Contractor, somebody's thinking about remodeling their kitchen. They come in, they quote it, they say it'll be $40,000, and they go, oh, you can have the marble, you can have this, and they just overwhelm that person with options. Okay. That person doesn't move forward. Okay. That person didn't say, no, I will never buy a kitchen. Fuck you. I'm going to stick with my old one. They probably just got overwhelmed with options, needed a moment to just like process it all and things like that. And so if you understand that, simply reminding people you exist will often get some of them off the fence. So what happens is when you message as a roofer and you say, hey, we miss you, we'd love to do something for you, there's people who are already, like 10% of them were already thinking about doing it and are like sort of on the fence. And when you remind them, you can nudge some of them off the fence, right? So if somebody reminds me about a car, hey, I just got something that fits what you're looking for, they're not really like converting me or pitching me. They're just taking me. I was already 90% of the way, but I'm dying in this shade of gray of this almost bought. Most sales get lost in the almost bought. So that's why you can email, somebody for a roofer. I've done the same thing with personal injury, right? It's the same thing. People only hire a personal injury lawyer when they need it, when they've had a car accident. And yet when you email them, say, thank you, we appreciate you. We'd love to help you again. Or if you know anybody, a lot of times they were thinking about doing it, or they know somebody was thinking about doing it, and it just simply gets them off the fence. So you have to understand, like 10% of your market is thinking about buying it with or without you. Alan Christian Boers, what's up, brother? So he says, Mr. Sheriff, how are you? Facebook blocked me from friend requests. What should be on the hand raiser ad? How to monetize the people, ask them to comment X and then message those, or what is the best idea? I mean, you got the basic gist of it. When Facebook blocks you, it blocks you like temporarily for a day or something like that. So it's not like you're blocked forever. What I do is I just delete ones that have been pending for a while. You can go into like pending requests. You delete all the ones that are pending, and you can go back to adding people and you won't have problems. What should be a hand raiser ad? I'll tell you my formula for a hand raiser ad. Very simple, is call out the person, dentist, doctor, lawyer, accountant. Say, if you're experiencing this symptom and I describe a problem that's showing up in their reality, I say, we can get you this outcome, which is what the final end result of your service is. Say, using what I call new and different way out. And then I say, without timer, which stands for time, identity, money, energy, reputation. It's every reason somebody says yes or no to you. So once again, call out the person, symptom, outcome, new and exciting way out without all the shit you don't want to have to do. So I'll give you an example. If I was doing this for an attorney, it would say personal injury attorney. And then I would hit on a symptom like, if your TV ads are costing you more than $1,000 per signed case and you can barely pay yourself after all the paralegals and attorneys get paid, we figured out how to get signed motor vehicle accident cases for $500 a piece using Facebook ads. This stops you from having to spend all this time chasing all the TV cases, having no money left over. They're easier and faster than running TV ads. They don't take 6 months to work, and people will see you as the go-to firm, and it'll enhance everything you're already doing. If you're interested in finding out more, click here. That's it. So that's how I do a hand raiser ad. As far as how to monetize the people, I mean, sell them something. But yes, if they comment, what happens is most people don't realize if you get people to comment, it makes messaging them 1,000 times easier. So a lot of the way people message somebody is, your standard interruption. Somebody who was not thinking about you, doesn't know who you are, doesn't know what you do, and you message them and say, hey, do you want to buy my shit? You want to talk about buying my shit? How about buying my shit, right? That's how most people do it. And then people are like, what the fuck? I don't know you. Flip side of that is if I say, hey, personal injury lawyer, if you're interested in figuring out how to, get signed cases for under $500 a piece using Facebook ads, drop a comment below. Then when I message them, it's not like, who are you and why are you messaging me? It's like, hey, you were interested in that signed cases for under $500 thing. Let me tell you how it works, right? And that becomes a welcome DM simply because they've raised their hand for it, which is why I get them to raise their hand, by the way. You become a welcome guest. When people used to do door-to-door sales, like there was a moment where they would say, hey, do you mind if I step inside for a minute? And there's a huge difference between, fuck you, staying on the porch, and yeah, come on in. As soon as somebody's come on in, they're a welcome guest in the arrangement, right? Or sometimes the person would even invite them in and say, hey, would you like to come in for a second? Right? That changes the dynamic of that sale forever. So I want people to invite me into their inbox, not go, who is this fucking spammer, right? And people have all these deliverability issues. Another way, by the way, like when people post in groups, I'll sometimes message them about the post they made, right? So like if I go to, like I did this in water damage restoration, some guy was saying, hey, I'm trying to fill out my Xactimate. And Xactimate is the estimating software they use that's like in the industry. I would say, hey, Joe, I saw your post about Xactimate things. Are you guys by chance trying to get these kind of jobs? He doesn't go, who the fuck are you and why are you messaging me? Because he made a post, right? And so when I continue the conversation from that, it's like, it's way more welcome than cold. And so I don't know why people insist on spamming people with cold messages when I don't think you need to. You can get them. So like for me, what would happen is I would go speak on stage at like a conference, and then I'd say, hey, if you're interested in finding out more, I'll be at the back of the room for a minute. And there would always be like, 5, 10, 15, sometimes as many as like 50 or even 100 of them waiting for you at the back of the room to see what you do and to talk to you. If I had tried to message 1,000 people in the room, it would take a long time. And I would find that the only people who respond are those, 10, 20, 50 people, right? Let's call it 10 for the sake of easy numbers, right? So you message 1,000, so 10 respond. To me, I'd rather just hand raise to the entire 1,000 at once and then speak to the 10 who said, I'm interested. Right? And those conversations are way easier to have. So that's the other point of hand raising, is to filter interest for you. So you're not spending all this time chasing dipshits who A, never buy it, B, aren't interested, and C, you got to chase and convince. Roger says, thoughts on value-based pricing. I think if you do it right, every price is value. So what I mean by that, Roger, is, okay, most agencies do not know how to present pricing. And I'll give you guys a shortcut real quick. So whenever you say the number, you say, and for that you will get, and you contextualize that with a valuable, meaningful outcome. Okay. So example of this, I say to you, Roger, I have a house for sale. It is $250,000. Deal or no deal? If I don't tell you what kind of house you're going to get, you don't really know whether that's valuable or not. So there's a huge difference between, I say, I got this crack shack in the ghetto. It used to be a meth lab for the last year. It's got bullet holes. There's some squatters living there. It's surrounded by ladies of the night. You're going to go, I don't know if I want that, right? But if I say to you, hey, I own a $2.5 million beachfront mansion, and I have decided that I am renouncing worldly possessions. I'm on a spiritual quest. I'm moving to Thailand, and I'm going to live in the monastery, and I don't give a fuck about money anymore. I owe about $220,000 on the house plus closing costs, and I need a couple thousand to get my flights to Thailand. About $250,000 out the door. If you give me $250,000 right now, you can have my $2.5 million beachfront mansion. I don't give a fuck about it. You should sprint to get that. If that's real, you should sprint to make that deal happen. So always value-based pricing. I was on a webinar once. There were these two guys in legal called Mark and Mark, and they sold TV commercials. So they used to work as TV executives, and they knew how to buy media way cheaper than they knew how to negotiate with TV stations to get the price down. And they had a winning commercial. And so what they would do is they would say, they gave this webinar and they showed the commercial and they said, run our commercial for $10,000. You get 100 phone calls. The 100 phone calls will be a mixed bag. You'll get some good ones, some shit calls, whatever. But it'll average out to $100 a call. And the reason we can do this is because we know how to buy media better than you, because we spent 20 years combined working at TV. And there were a couple of attorneys that said, hey, I'm not really interested in using your TV commercial because I have my own TV commercial. But they said, do you guys do consulting? Okay. Do you guys do consulting? Because I want to pay you guys to figure out how you guys are buying media so cheap. And that would be really helpful. And they said, yes, we do consulting. It's $100,000 per year. If you're spending at least $100,000 per month on TV, we'll usually cut your bill in half. And I watched 5 attorneys without a call, without anything, sign up for a $100,000 consulting package. They made, just from the consulting, they actually probably made like 4 or 5 million just on that webinar alone. But they made $500,000 in consulting in about 10 seconds. Okay. That was like pretty fucking impressive to me at the time. Now, is $100,000 a value? It is if it's going to save you 50 grand a month. Right. So to me, the price never matters. If you do it right, it's like, this is the price. And for that, you will get something more valuable. In our case, in the 90-day challenge, it's $2,800 a month. And for that, you're going to get on average between 50 and 100 category 3 residential flood job phone calls every month. Okay. It ain't the $2,800 a month that matters. It's I'm going to get 50 to 100 phone calls of this type that matter to them. And we did a lot of research figuring out what it is they wanted and how to get them that. But I say that if you do it right, everything is value-based pricing. And if you know how to present the value equation, that's a big part of being able to sell phoneless. A lot of people, why they do calls is because when they get to the price, they don't know how to contextualize it. So they make people like jump through a lot of hoops just to find out how much it is. And by the way, in every niche, they hate jumping on calls just for you to tell them how much it is. Like, let's go through an hour sales pitch so I can finally tell you how much it is. In fact, I won't even buy shit. Like sometimes I'll get pitched stuff and I'm mildly interested and I'll go, tell me more about that. How much is it? And they go, whoa, we got to jump on an hour-long call to tell you how much it is. I'm already not interested if I spend an hour being hard pitched for you just to tell me how much it is. Just tell me how much it is, but contextualize it so I know where the value is coming from. Deacon Nick, we got back to back here. He says, hey, Frankie, I'm hiring some people to do cold outreach. I have entire recruiting system automated with videos, etc. But I'm curious how you've paid outreach people in the past. I've hired thousands of commission salespeople in the past, but not remote. So I'm curious of your pay structure, if you've done this. Yes. So I've tried commission only prospecting people. I'm not saying you won't ever find anybody, but man, is that ever a minefield. For every like 500 people you give commission only jobs to, expect like 1 to 5 of them to work out, like very, very low batting averages. If you just pay even a small hourly wage, and it does not have to be like a real hourly wage of, like Like say, for example, in the Philippines, a normal hourly wage is like $3 an hour or something. And they go higher and lower than that. But, just as an example, you don't have to pay them $3 an hour, but giving them some sort of base salary so they know they're going to get paid, even if they prospect and it doesn't work out, will help you attract people. But then you do like a very aggressive commission structure. That's the sweet spot I've found to be the best personally. Because if you try and hire commission-only people work really well when you have inbound. When, hey, I got calls coming in, I'll put them on your calendar, you close them, you get a commission. That works well because they don't have to hunt. If you're going to send them out to hunt, where they got to go find their own lunch kind of thing, if you don't pay them hourly, typically they just won't do it. Everybody will say all the right things. They'll be like, yep, I'm excited, I can't wait to do this, and they just won't fucking do it, in my experience. Or they'll do it for like 3 days, and they'll expect they're supposed to make a sale in the first 10 minutes, and then when they don't, they'll give up on you. So like having that just base will get you people a lot better, I find. Anyway, Paul, I was thinking of doing a reactivation campaign for med spas, which text their past clients something like, we haven't seen you in a while, here's 10% off your next visit. But should the message instead be the med spa's $100 bill? This is personal preference. I like to increase value, not decrease price. When people normally think about making offers, they decrease price. Local businesses especially. They think an offer means a coupon. Okay? So I think there is a scenario where you decrease price, and that's very simple, is when you're going to give them a package. Hey, buy 12 visits in advance, and you can buy them for the price of 10. You save get 2 visits free for prepaying, right? That to me makes a lot of sense because that's a value for them, but also it's valuable for the med spa or whatever. What I typically like to do, Paul, is enhance it with a bonus. And you can get really, really creative with this. This is like why offer making is such an art. And I believe to be the number one income generation skill is to make offers that do the selling for you. So I'll give you an example, similar but different niche. We got a guy in the UK. He works with dentists. His name's Richard. And there is a website called Cameo. For those of you guys who've never been to Cameo, like you should just check it out for 10 minutes, cameo.com. It has all sorts of athletes and celebrities and movie stars and singers and wrestlers and entertainers galore. And they'll make a video for you. Usually it's between $50 and $100, but it depends on the person. And they'll make you a short little like 5-minute personalized video. So I'll give you an example. For any of you guys have seen Trailer Park Boys, one of the main characters is a guy named Bubbles, wears really thick glasses. Bubbles was on there. And for like $50, he would make you a 5-minute personalized video. And it's worth it for the actors. They make $50 for 5 minutes of work. So I decided my friend loves Trailer Park Boys. So I made him a little birthday video from Bubbles. And he was like, holy shit, Bubbles, on my birthday, right? So anyways, I did that for him. And he was like blown away with how cool that is. So we did this for one of Richard's offers. It was a UK-based dentist. And we went on Cameo and we found like a footballer, a soccer player for those of us in this part of the world. Somebody who is a famous, I think they were a former player, if I'm not mistaken. And we said, hey, we got this whitening package. And for the first 3 people who get it, we get a custom video from the famous footballer, and he'll do it for you. But he's busy, and we only have so much time, so we can only include 3 of them. And they had like a bajillion people fucking buy the whitening package just to get a video from the guy. Now, they could go buy the video on Cameo on their own, but they don't know that, right? And so what we didn't do is go 10% off and cheapen it. What we did is we added a bonus to enhance it. And there's all kinds of shit you can do. Amazon gift cards, Starbucks, throw in a massage, eat at this fancy restaurant. So I like to go, how can you add to this, not take it away? But you got the right idea, Hey, sell their $100 bill, enhance it with a limited time bonus. And by the way, if you make the bonus limited, like in our case, it's like you can still get the whitening later, but the footballer is a limited time thing. Like we only got so much of this guy. And then it creates scarcity, and scarcity makes people go crazy in a buying frenzy. I got to get it now. I want the football player. Right? So that's what I would do personally. Hi, Frankie. I watched your video Loom live class, how to make ChatGPT output but I checked the email on my mobile. The picture don't show like PNG crack. So does local business check email on mobile? I don't know what you mean by that, but it sounds like you're having a tech error. Or they also use laptop. Any best uh, contact dentists because they mostly have receptionists. So you're talking about niches where receptionists and gatekeepers exist. If you're gonna do cold outreach in those niches, it's harder for that reason. There's multiple ways to approach that problem. One of those is to actually learn to get the gatekeepers to cooperate with you. That's a whole art in itself. I would suggest listening to a guy named Ari Gelper. He's really good at that. Or you can use a tool like Coldlytics to find the dentist email instead of the office email. So the office email might be like info@abcdental.com. And that goes to the receptionist who probably just deletes it. But if you can get Dr. Smith at abcdental.com, the doctor's email, it doesn't go to the gatekeeper. It goes right to the doctor. So if you're going to do it in industries like that, it's good to get good contact info. There's a tool called Coldlytics that does that. I'll put a link to Coldlytics in the chat, and I'm going to give you an affiliate link because why not? If you're going to use it, let me see. There we go. Sorry. But I'm a big believer in niches like that. If you're going to send cold, like get the right person's contact info, unless you want it to go nowhere, then don't. And also with my Coldlytics link, you get like an extra 25 credits or something like that because I'm cool with the owners. Where are we at? Buy with emotions, justify with logic. There, you're right, Bob. How are you doing today after the accident? I just jump on. Hope you're doing good. Appreciate you asking, Mohammed. Actually fine. I got a little I don't know if you guys can see, but that's a little scrape left over from the accident. I got like some bruises up here. I don't know if they're still there, but I had some bruises on the back of my arm, I guess, kind of. But nothing serious, other than like now I'm dealing with car shopping in Mexico. G Money. By the way, G Money is going to be, if you guys want to come hang for the event in June 26th and 27th in Los Angeles, you guys will get to meet the G Money champion, Gary. Let me just go to the doc here because I have some questions that I'm not caught up on. Max says, what's your take on this cold email? Hey, Jack, your phone isn't ringing with the jobs you actually make money on. Homeowners in city are searching for jobs he actually makes money on, number one, and jobs he makes money on, number two. Can't find you. Competitor is taking those calls right now. We could get you to 1, 2, and 3 on Google for the jobs that actually pay. Then just call you in 7 days and ask if you still want it. Just reply yes, and I'll send you a short video. Run it with yourself or have us handle it. Either way, it's yours. And then I'm going to read the next question because they're kind of related. Max says, hey, just learned hand raiser emails exist. What's the better one? Number one, hey, Jack, this is probably irrelevant if you're already booked with jobs you want, but if you're trying to get more of them, I noticed something. Hey, Jack, most niche companies I talk to are getting plenty of jobs they don't want, but very jobs they want. Is that the case for you as well? So hand raisers, cold outreach, just so you guys know, there's more than one way to be right about this. So when I give you guys advice, I just want to be really, really clear. I'm sharing what's worked for me for 20 years, but I don't want to I hate when internet gurus are like, do it this way. This is the only way. Like if you don't follow the Frankie Finn system, you're a fucking loser. You're a fucking loser if you don't follow the Frankie Finn. So there's more than one way to be right about this. Okay. I get a lot of cold outreach, and that by the way, if you want to get good at it, just let other people pitch you and see how bad they are at it. And, you'll get better just being on the receiving end of a lot of it. I swear to God, without sending a single message, just going, what gets your attention and what doesn't. Okay. So as far as the first part, I'll tell you, I don't really like the opening. And I get a lot of these openings where people say your channel isn't doing as good as you want and your sales aren't as good as you want. And I don't know, I don't think sort of low key insulting people is a good opening move. I know that's not what you're trying to do. You're trying to establish there's a problem, but that's how it comes across is you're just saying, hey, your shit sucks. I like if you're going to use that angle, you're doing a really good job with this, but if you added this other piece, you would do even better. I think that's like a smarter way to like compliment them and flatter them and say, you know, acknowledge something they've done. Because to me, like I get all these people who say your channel sucks and you don't have any followers. And it's like, yeah, why don't you show me your channel that you built, right? Like that's how I feel when I read that. And to me, you could say that like, so one of the things I learned about like Loom selling is demonstrations go way farther than words. So if you're trying to establish that the reason you're contacting them is because for a certain type of job that would be desirable for them, there's a competitor above them. I think you could say that 1,000 times more powerfully with a screenshot than with a text. And so the angle I like is really just like, you know, hey, Dave, did a search for jobs you want in Atlanta. Did you know this is what's coming up? And by the way, you don't even a lot of people don't realize this. Remember I said earlier, for those of you guys who've been on this a little while, in their mind, they're buying their way out of a problem, not into your solution. The biggest thing that will help you sell things like SEO and get them to move faster is what most people do is we'll get you more jobs and more sales and more leads. And with SEO, that's even if it works, that's 6 to 12 months later, right? That's a ultimate delayed gratification. So that's a difficult thing to get them to buy right now. But I'll tell you what gets them to move fast is simply establishing that they're losing money and show them the name and person they're losing money to now. Did you know Crown Restoration is kicking your ass on this keyword? Let that just sink in for a minute. And by the way, local businesses, they know their competitors by name and they always hate them 100 times out of 100. That fucking guy, he's a terrible fucking contractor. You know, or lawyers would say shit like, he's a terrible fucking lawyer. He's never even tried a case. He's number one. Fuck that guy. Right? But fuck that guy will make you way more sales than telling them you'll get more jobs and more leads and more. So what I would do is, hey, all you're doing is I'm just bringing this to your attention. Did you know this? And then to me, the proposed solution is, I had an idea to fix it. Do you want to hear about it? I'll send you a little video. That's it. Right. But what you don't want to do is get into you're insulting them, telling them they're doing shit wrong. I don't think that's a good way. I know what you're trying to do is establish, hey, you're getting work, but it's the wrong kind. And by the way, when I do that in a hand raiser, the way you do that tactfully without insulting them is this magic little word. If you are getting jobs you don't want, I got a way to help you get jobs you do want. Comment below, right? But I never said you suck, you're not getting jobs and you're losing, blah, 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 et cetera. So what's worked for me for years and years is just like one sentence of personalization, one had an idea for you to get outcome you want or solve problem you're experiencing. Got a little video, can I send some info? That's it. Like that's our opener. That's what's worked for me for 20 years. And the reason it works because it's about them. It's easy for them to understand. It's personalized and it's a give instead of a take. I'm going to give you ideas, but I'm going to give them ideas that I know they can implement without my help to do, right? Like in your case, like you could show them, hey, you're behind Stanley Construction. Let me show you how to fix that. And when you show them how to fix it, you just like that creates a mountain of work. Right? You want me to do that for you? Having said that, just so you guys know, I think if you guys want to build long-term successful agencies, I see for everybody I know who reaches $1 million per year, which I know like hundreds, maybe even thousands of agencies, maybe not thousands, but several hundred at that level and above, all the way up to, I got a guy who's working on $500 million with a B. That's the biggest agency I know personally. About 3% of them get there with cold outreach. So if you talk to 100 people doing $1 million a year, 3 of them, I'll tell you the biggest things is content. So webinar, YouTube, podcasts, things like that, ads, especially Facebook, sometimes YouTube, sometimes LinkedIn. And then being involved in your industry association, speaking, especially. If you want to see $1 million agencies, it's almost always one of those 3 things. What I would call shoe stores, by the way. So if you want to get this off the ground, like to me, like I know everybody talks about ads, but what I like to do is content plus hand raise. You guys are actually experiencing this. I'm saying, hey, I got a live event. If you're interested, check it out. That's a fucking hand raiser. That's a hand raiser in the middle of my content, just so you guys know. In fact, I'm gonna put the damn hand raiser in the middle of the chat right now, just to show you guys. So I'm just saying you can. There's more than one way to be successful at this, but outreach is just, to me, a good way of finding out where your offer is at with skeptical strangers. But I would never. And I'll tell you the biggest reason why I'm not a fan of outreach, besides that it's laborious and one-to-one and sort of soul-sucking, is it doesn't compound. So like if you do outreach for 200 days in a row and you get clients from it and like say it's working for you and you stop on day 201, your business will eventually go to zero if you stay stopped. Flip side of that is like content or ads. If I put out a bunch of ads and content and leave them running, they'll keep working for me. So like this channel, for example, if I stopped making videos today and never made another video for like the next 10 years, I would still keep getting subscribers. I would still keep getting sales. And so that to me is why you want to get into other generation methods, is because they compound. And like to me, compounding assets, like that's how motherfuckers get rich, just so you know. It's like compound interest. Like that's way number one. If you guys are in this to get rich, not to create a job for yourself, like use outreach to get the first, 5 people, but get off the fucking crack pipe is what I'm saying. Raju Dan, Frankie, I hope you're doing well after the accident. Yeah. How should I create content on my Instagram that would be about owning my clients' results instead of selling Facebook ads and short form content? I'll tell you, there's 3 types of content that I use. So let's be clear, okay? So I consider there to be a big distinction between content that sells, like content that actually drives sales, and content that is purely designed to create engagement, okay? So a lot of times people are obsessed about the second form, the engagement, the likes, the views, the shares. And as somebody who like buys channels and things like that, you'd be amazed at how many people who have 1 million fans and followers or more are fucking broke, right? Because they optimize to me for the wrong thing. Last I checked, you cannot go to the bank and say, well, I got 100,000 views. I'm paying my mortgage with views, right? Likes and subscribers and shares and comments and follows. So sometimes those things correlate, but usually they do not. And so like I've made posts, by the way, like I posted about my accident and I got like 400 likes and 200 comments, which is a lot for me. I didn't make any sales from it. So $0 post. I just did it because I was tired of answering the messages from people who are asking. So like, let's just make a post and answer it all at once, whatever. But also, I've made posts where one person likes it and one person comments and that person gives me 10 grand. What is a more successful post is 400 comments and like. So when I give you my content formulas, I'm giving you the latter. And a lot of times people will create content that sells, and then they'll look for engagement metrics and go, well, it doesn't have a lot of likes. It doesn't have any comments. Nobody shared. I'm like, who gives a shit, right? If people are interested. So first type I do is a hand raiser. Just says, I call out who it's for: attorney, dentist, doctor, lawyer, agency owner, coach, e-commerce store. I say, if you have this symptom, we can help you get this outcome using new and exciting way out without the usual sort of problems you would experience. So in your case, it would say, like, say you're doing Facebook ads for e-commerce stores. I would say, hey, e-commerce store, if you got a bunch of unsold inventory and products that aren't moving, we figured out how to amplify your best-selling product with little UGC Facebook ads. And it stops you from having to, rely on Instagram traffic or whatever. If you'd like to find out more, drop a comment, and that turns into then a private sales conversation. So the hand raiser is formula number 1. Formula number 2 is what I call old plan versus new plan. So I say, here's what you're doing now. Here's why that sucks. Here's a better way of doing it. And here's why that better way, here's the benefits of that better way. So for example, if we're sticking with the e-commerce theme, I don't know who you actually sell Facebook ads to, but we could do something like, Hey, e-commerce store, if you're posting on Instagram stories all day trying to sell your e-commerce stores and dependent on that, problem is that the Instagram algorithm hates you and sucks, and your sales will be all over the map and inconsistent and depend on whether the algorithm likes you that day or not. We figured out how to sell better using simple user-generated content ads. And if you do it that way, you actually have some level of control over how much your store can sell or scale and how many ads you can make in a day. Here's how to create these kind of ads. And I give them the system, by the way, knowing that they're going to want my help on the back end to implement it. And then the last piece I use, some of you guys have told me these are some of your favorite posts. You don't know that this is the formula I'm using, but I call it triangle of insight. So triangle of insight is I start with a problem you're experiencing. I relate that to an unhelpful assumption you have about it. And then I tell a simple story or metaphor that helps you see it a different way. So like, let's fill in some of those details, right? If you, again, sticking with the e-commerce Facebook ads thing, the problem they're experiencing, they got unsold inventory. The unhelpful assumption is that they have to sell it through Instagram organic. And the story I might use is, the first time I turned on ads, what happened for me? So we could create a piece of content that says, hey, e-commerce store owner, if you got all this unsold inventory, I used to think the only way to sell that shit was through Instagram stories and stuff just like you're doing. And then one day I turned on Facebook ads, which I've been told weren't profitable and didn't scale until I found user-generated content ads. And when we did that, we were able to scale our first store with simple little testimonial videos. And here's an example of one. And then I would probably finish that piece of content with a hand raiser. If you'd like to find out more, drop a comment and turn that into a sales conversation. But those are my content formulas, those three. Hand raisers, old plan and new plan, triangle of insight. In fact, I have my own custom AI bots that I write my messages in that like help me like brainstorm them. And they're brainstormed on they're pre-programmed with those three formulas. But and you one thing you'll have to figure out is what you're doing slightly different with Facebook ads and what everyone else is doing. Micah, what's up, dude? I'm 50-50 on whether you and I are going to hang out in Arkansas. I came at the right time talking about content. Yeah, brother. Frankie, an update on things. I stumbled across another marketing agency and got to talking with them, asked for help in getting started, and they're sending me on their low ticket clients. Yeah, that's a really good way to get started. That's like an advanced thing I don't even really talk about because like it like a lot of people can't get their head around it, but like it's really common in other service industries. So like an attorney, when they're starting out, they'll say, send me the shit cases you don't want, right? So you're essentially doing, send me the shit clients you don't want. Like you just go to a busy agency that's got too much work, just send me the people you don't want, and they'll give you their overflow. It's a good way to get started. Totally. Yeah. Don't focus on the vanity metrics, make content for sales. By the way, people tell me all the time that like, oh, your like count should be higher and your follower count should be higher. And like, they don't realize I'm optimizing my content for sales. Like, oh, my bank account says different. Like the Stripe notifications. I almost never go more than an hour without a new Stripe notification, just so you guys know. I'm not saying I got it all figured out. I got a lot of low ticket stuff in there too, but like, like it's clearly working to that end. Would I rather have 100,000 followers or $100,000? Give me a choice. So personally, like I'd rather be rich and unknown. That sounds more fun to me. Did you try doing meta ads with AI? Curious about that. Yes, I do a shit ton of meta ads. If you got a follow-up question about that, I'll tell you how I do ads, but I do ads very, very different than most. Costco membership. Do you think it's a good idea to send business owners a visual heat map ranking scan to emphasize the point of them losing to their competitors in rankings, or would that complicate it too much? I think you probably, as an opener, that's complicating. That can be useful in the sales process later down the road where you say, let me show you how I'm going to fix it. Let me show you where it's being lost and stuff. But I'll tell you, nothing drives them crazier for sales faster than just show them a specific keyword and a name of a competitor that is beating them, that they will hate that competitor on their own, and they'll look at that and they'll go, fucking cocksucking piece of shit, motherfucking goddamn that fucking ABC construction, that guy's a fucking hack. Like that'll happen. Let me just check the doc real quick because there's a couple other questions I missed. Oh, I got Deacon Nick. I guess we already got that one. So we got Celia, who says, got 9 replies on my hand raiser email from last night. I've sent them my new short video recorded today in one shot, about 15 minutes, with an apply button under now waiting. I'll give you guys one of the most useful things that I ever learned is, I mentioned this before, but I think most sales die in what I call shades of gray. So I actually was helping one of our mastermind members brainstorm their kitchen remodeling offer, and they're doing some database reactivation. And their thinking was, a person had an estimate, had a person in their house, that person showed them the kitchen and the price and everything and didn't move forward. What would happen a second visit change? And so I asked ChatGPT, give me 10 reasons why somebody in their house looked at a kitchen and has not moved forward with it. And they said the number one reason they have not moved forward is they are overwhelmed with options, right? Do I choose granite, this cupboard, that one? Do you want the black top or the white top or the smooth finish? Or do you want this sink, that sink? Whoa, brain melt, right? So sometimes they just need a few weeks to step back and process and figure out which one do I want, right? And the worst thing you can do is not follow up with those people. Worst thing you can do. And just let them cool off and never move forward, or potentially go with someone else. So reason I say that is because you'll see, when you first attempt video closing, in my experience, it does not typically result in a home run, meaning people raise their hand, you send them a video. When you get good at that and you dial that in, it'll be a home run, meaning you send the video and it'll just be like ka-ching, 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 ka-ching. You'll get those, Stripe notifications, right? Let's just out of curiosity see when my last Stripe notification was. Oh, I'm a bad boy. It's actually been more than an hour, so I lied to you guys. It was at 10:46. Oh, wait, no, that's not a full hour. 10:46. So 45 minutes ago was my last Stripe notification. I guess I'm poor because I haven't made any money in 45 minutes. Donate to me, guys, please. It's been 45 minutes. Anyways, so that happens, okay? But typically in version 1.0, there is follow-up after the video where you have to nudge people along. And what most people do to nudge people along is annoy them. They go, did you see my video? How about now? Did you watch it? Did you watch it? You see my proposal? You want to get started? You want to buy my shit? What about now? You want to buy my shit? Problem with that is you can do that once. It never works, by the way, but you can do that once, and that's about it. You can't message somebody once a day and go. So I'll tell you what I do is I remind them of the outcome, which is the same thing that you put in. The outcome they want is the same thing you put as the first thing in the video. It is also the thing that got them to raise their hand and say, I'm interested in the first place. So if they raise their hand and you say, hey, I got an idea to get you kitchen remodeling jobs, and then you send a video and the first thing in that video is kitchen remodeling jobs, then the first thing in your follow-up is kitchen remodeling jobs, right? It's the same theme throughout. But what you're doing now is you're going deeper on what that would look like for them. So I would say, hey, Dave, I was thinking of you and how you wanted kitchen remodeling jobs. And I was thinking about, you said you got a couple hundred contacts in Job Nimbus. If you got them in Job Nimbus, I could actually email them right from there or export them into my mail tool and just have a spreadsheet. And so all I'd need from you is just a little login. Anyways, really excited to get you kitchen remodeling jobs. If Dave doesn't respond, I can go deeper on the specifics again of what it would look like for him. I can say, hey, Dave, I'm still got a bug in my head thinking about getting you kitchen remodeling jobs. I was thinking about what kind of text message would work really, really well for somebody who's already got a quote. And I just say, hey, thank you. We appreciate you. You're probably a little overwhelmed with options. And so we want to come back in and discuss some of those options again with you and help slow it down, give you some time to decide what your ideal kitchen would look like. If you're interested in that, you can schedule an estimate here, right? That's what I was thinking as a message that would really, really crush it for you. Dave doesn't respond. I could say, hey, Dave, I was thinking about how you want kitchen remodeling jobs. And I was thinking, man, if we set up a booking page just like this, where people could just schedule with you and put the estimate on the calendar, and then you would get a notification and your salesperson would get a notification that just meet the homeowner Tuesday at 11, that would be really awesome for you guys and help people book those kitchen remodeling jobs with you. And almost always, by the way, within 3 to 5 messages, Dave's going to come out of the woodworks and A, respond, and B, respond positively, and probably C, move forward. So that's most likely what is going to happen. And as you get more and more dialed in with people, there will be less of that follow-up. But in the beginning, expect that some follow-up will be required. And it's mostly because you don't have all your messaging dialed in. That's the truth of it. It's like when you can speak to their problem so deeply that they're like, holy shit, like they'll just buy it without pushback. But in the beginning, you're close, but sort of uncalibrated. So anyways, hope that helps. I need to put a new battery in my smoke detector. I think what you're hearing actually is not my smoke detector. It's this. This is my air conditioning remote. The way it works in Mexico is they don't have like a single AC that powers the whole house. They got all these like wall units, room by room. So you can have like one room that's hot as balls and one room that's ice cold. It's really common around here. It's just how they are. So I think when you're hearing that beep, that's what you're hearing. Should I do a separate landing page for the video of those who raised their hand so it has reviews before and afters? If you got all that, for sure. Especially if you can just like change 10% of it and click a button and, rock it. Solid advice about client results. So if I were to start from 0 today, am I good to go for landing page plus video type conversion? Any hitting sauce suggestions for video? What should I focus on? Biggest thing is like figure out what they actually want. Like that's the biggest reason, by the way, most agencies struggle to sell their thing is so I'm just going to put market research bot. And Adam, Zoom link for what? You keep typing Zoom link for what? Like Zoom link. I don't know what Zoom link you're looking for. Can you elaborate? Typing it more doesn't change that, bro. No, I'm not online in Zoom. I'm just online right here, right now on the old YouTube. Just in YouTube, brother. Oh, so anyways, if I'm starting from 0, figure out what they want, man. I can't tell you enough that that's the biggest thing that people are missing is that they don't know what their clients really want and what problems they're really trying to solve. And so they have solutions that are close but uncalibrated. I call this the 10-degree shift. The 10-degree shift so I'll give you an example of this. I sold websites for like my first 3 years, and nobody wakes up in a cold sweat and says, today's the day I really need a website. And I remember I was sitting down with a plastic surgeon one day and he said, hey, Frankie, I really want to get mommy makeover patients. And he explained to me that a lot of his surgeries, after all his costs and his expenses and his staff, and they have to rent rooms in the hospital, he said, I don't really make any money, but on mommy makeovers, I do. So he said, do you think you could make me a website for mommy makeovers? And I was like, yeah, it's like same shit as any other site. He said, do you think you could rank my website? So I said, let me pull up. I pulled up my phone. I started checking Google and I was like, yeah, we could rank you in Google for that. And, or actually first he said, do you think people are searching for that? I said, yeah. And he said, do you think we could rank for those kind of keywords? And I was like, yeah. And then he wrote me a check and said, build me that. I want that. And the difference between I sell websites and I sell mommy makeover generating websites is 10 degrees. But man, does that 10 degrees ever land. So whenever I said I do websites and SEO, they would say, good, send me a proposal. And I'd follow up for like a month. And sir, did you see my proposal? Oh, not yet. We're busy. As soon as I said, yeah, I can get you mommy makeover patients. Check. No questions. So a lot of times when you're missing the mark, in the beginning, you're not missing the mark by a lot. You're missing the mark by like 10 degrees, like the difference between I make websites and I make websites to sell mommy makeovers. But you got to figure that out. And no, Adam, we don't have a Zoom. This is the live right here. You're on it. It's a stream YouTube live. You, Yi, and only Miller talk about this, what the client really wants, and not looking for struggling clients. Yeah. That both of us, by the way, learned that from hard experience, which is everybody thinks you want like broke, struggling clients who need marketing help, and you actually want rich, successful ones that need marketing help. And it's a little bit counterintuitive, but rich, successful ones actually have more marketing problems than broke ones. I never realized this until like my first consulting client. It's $100 million law firm in Jacksonville. It's two brothers that are the biggest lawyers there. And they brought me in and they said, can you help us consult for our marketing? And I said, yeah, okay. And they flew me in person. They gave me like the royal treatment. They had somebody pick me up at the airport. They paid all my flights and hotels, and they took me to a AAA baseball game box seat. And it was all like really, really cool. And I couldn't figure out why they were paying me, because I'm like, you guys are already doing $100 million. Like, what can I possibly show you about marketing? And then when I got in there, I realized they had more problems because they were running like TV ads, and they had a million problems with TV. So they had to figure out, like, they're negotiating with 8 different TV stations. They got to buy media with each of those. They got to script them, film them, edit them. I mean, like, all that's a lot of fucking work, just so you know. Then they're doing SEO. They've got to be on top of links and reviews and their domains and contents and Google updates and penalties. Then they're doing radio spots. They got to do all the media there. Then they're doing 57 different billboards, and they got to negotiate. And I realized they actually have way more problems, not less. So if you understand that, like, rich clients with problems are actually way better. They got more problems, and they're more likely to just pay you a check and go, you handle it. I don't want to fucking deal with this. How much follow-up, frankly, do you normally do? And after you can consider by yourself, and I should move on. I have 3 possible updates. I call that buy, die, or unsubscribe. Buy it. Okay. I don't need to follow up with you because you bought it. You die. Obviously you're dead, so you don't need any more follow-up. Unsubscribe, you say, stop messaging me. But my follow-up game is pretty endless, just so you know. And there's a lot of reasons for that. I actually have seen people come around after like 8 years of follow-up, just so you know. I'm not saying that's the average sale, but it happens. Do I have Zoom or don't? Yes, I have Zoom, but no, we don't stream on Zoom. When are you going live on Zoom? I'm not. Do you support Palestine or Israel or Lebanon or Iran? Speak. Just so you know, I did a talk on this last week, but I believe there's a small bubble of things called in my control. That includes my family, my work, my body, what I eat, where I go, how I spend my time, who I do it with. I tend to obsess about that. And then there's a much bigger bubble called shit I don't control. All of those things are things I don't control. So I tend not to invest a lot of energy in things I don't control, including all of those things, because it just, for me, is wasted energy about things that just, will make you upset and you can't do anything about it. Have I tried Lebanese food? Of course. Fix rich people problems. Exactly. Micah, if you can make an ad to run all year round on Facebook, will that ad perform continually, or do you have to update it every few months? That is a loaded, very intelligent question, Micah. So can you run Facebook ads untouched with a single ad? In my experience, no, not even close. Having said that, can you run ads, plural, in a cohesive campaign that run untouched? The answer to that question is absolutely. So in the beginning, I used to run a lot of single ads. Try this ad, try that ad. Hopefully it converts, but like you said, you got to update it and you got to monitor it like a hawk, and you're constantly tweaking it, which, by the way, is the opposite of Google. A lot of Google ads, once you get them dialed in, you can just kind of run them till eternity. So what I figured out is we have a series of ads, and our ads kind of do a couple of different things. So I have some ads that are hand raisers, designed to get you to raise your hand and go, tell me more. I have some that are direct purchase ads, go buy my fucking thing. I have some ads that I call proof ads. They're like, case studies, results, whatever. If you have them, use those. And by the way, you're not limited just to your own case studies for proof. That's a whole topic for another day. Then we have what I call objection handling ads. Like, you take the top 5 reasons people say no, and you turn those into ads, and you create responses out of those. And between all those things, we'll have 30, 40 different campaigns. Oh, the other thing I'll do is I call old plan, new plan, explaining why our plan process works better than what you're doing now. And what people are sick and tired and fed up of is what they're doing now. Those like 6 things, we have like 30, 40 different creatives, and I set them up so whatever ad you see first doesn't matter. If you click it or engage with it, you'll start getting retargeted with all the other ones. And those ads I haven't touched in a year, longer. In fact, some of my YouTube ads I've been running for 4 or 5 years continuously. I've been seen on YouTube, just so you guys know, like almost 100 million times in our ads. And I still keep running them, and they still keep working. So, but I always start with a single hand raiser. Like, would people raise their hand for this and go, tell me more? And then I build on that. And then if they say yes, then I go, okay, let's add some proof. Let's add some objection handling. Let's add some old plan versus new plan. But I start with, would they raise their hand for it? And then I build out campaigns based on proven response. Flip side of that is if I post a hand raiser and people go, no, not interested, I don't build out campaigns around that. So I usually know within like the first $50 in spend, whether or not my Facebook campaigns are going to like rocket or not. Thanks for sharing with us. Basically, the follow-up strategy, just try to give them some benefits idea just to remind them on yourself, more or less. But so there's a tendency, by the way, to think because you told them about your thing and your service and what outcome you can create for them, that they understood everything you said 100% the first time through. And so like the analogy I use is we've had the in-laws stay with us. So they're German. So I speak German, like ich kann auch Deutsch sprechen, wenn wir möchten. So German is, second language. It's like, obviously I'm not as strong in German as in English. And I'm also like, I'm not a Mr. Fix-It. I never will be. Like, these are internet hands. They'll always be internet hands. And I remember my father-in-law was telling me about various fix-it things. Sometimes I remember there was a car thing and he was telling me about the car thing. And so there's 2 levels of it, right? One, it's not my area of expertise, right? Like, I'm never going to be Mr. Fix-It. And 2, it's in a foreign language. And so he was describing the process. Like, first you take the cover off here, then you put this thing, and then you loosen these things, and you put this thing, and then you pop the new one in, and then you go. And like, I kind of got what he was saying. Like, I didn't 0% understand him, but I also didn't 100% understand him. And so a lot of times we forget that marketing is our area of specialty, and their thing is being a dentist, being a contractor, being a lawyer. And so, yeah, like for you, website, GHL, funnel, automation, missed call, text back, like that's all easy to understand, but you present it to them. And then there's a tendency to think they absorbed 100% of that. So a lot of follow-up is going deeper on an individual piece until the point at which they have 100% understood you. So for example, if my father-in-law actually wanted me to fix the car, he would have to go, well, let me slow it down here. There is a cover right here. Do you see that cover? Yes. It has 4 screws on the side. Do you see the 4 screws? No. Okay. Yeah. There's one there. Okay. Where are the other? Right there. Okay. We have to take those off. Okay. How do I take that off? Oh, you get this screwdriver. Okay. All right. So a lot of follow-up is like, hey, I was thinking about what you wanted, a new car running. First thing we got to do is take this cover off. Are you with me? You got me on the cover, right? So there's a tendency to think like they got 100% of what we said and they didn't. And so they lucky if they got 50%. So a lot of follow-up, what you're doing is you're going more specific as the details would apply to them. I'll give you an example of this. If I do SEO for them, do you think they care about the SEO process as a whole? Or do you think they care much more about the SEO process as it relates to what am I going to do for them? Obviously, it's the latter, right? So I can tell them I do keywords. But do you think they care about every keyword in existence? Or do you think they care about the 10 to 50 keywords that directly apply to them? So one of the simplest things I can do is go, hey, remember we said we were going to do keywords? let me show you. These 10 keywords are the ones that are going to be most relevant to you. You said you want kitchen remodeling. This is where people are looking for kitchen remodeling. Right here on these keywords. Kitchen remodeler Denver. You're in Denver and you do kitchen remodeling. That's how they're going to find you. Right now, it's being found by Dave's Construction, who has 100 reviews. We're going to have to get above him. Right? Now they have understood more of what you were just saying. So like, we're just going deeper on it. I always say like, it's like if you compare it to like a blind date where I say, hey, you know, my neighbor's interested in you. Do you want to go on a date with her? Even if you say yes, we can't have a date until we fill in the specifics. When are we going to meet? Where are we going to meet? What do I got to say or do? How do you want me to show up? Right? Like there's a lot of those basic questions that need to be filled in. Right? Like for example, I invite you, come to my event, June 26th and June 27th. For you to actually say yes to that, do you not need to know exactly where you fly to, when you get there? What hotel? How much is it? What are we going to do at the event? Like without those details, you can't go further. So we're reminding them of what they want and going deeper on how these details will get them what they want, thereby making it more real for them. You recommended about Starlink niche as a good one, but it barely has a $100 bill in it. Would you suggest any other niche which is not saturated yet that has a $100 bill? $100 bill is just a metaphor for almost every industry has a scale of things that they sell from very cheap to very expensive. And almost always the things they want to sell are the expensive ones and or the things that are the easiest to fulfill on. So the things they make a bunch of money that are easy for them to do. So a Starlink installer, for example, typically installs a lot of things around that home, including, you know, smart home systems and alarm systems and what's the damn doorbell thing that everybody, you know, the video camera systems and those things, right? So to me, like if you help them get their foot in their door with the Starlink and then upsell the home system, it's the home system thing that they're probably going to make all the real money on. But the Starlink is a great foot in the door. I actually just installed Starlink myself. And I don't know if you guys can see, do I still have the box around? I guess not. But it was like slightly more complex than I would have thought. You know, I wouldn't say it was like hard, but it was like somebody who's a non-techie would be like, can you just do this for me? For sure. So there's a tendency to think there's good niches and bad niches, but it's really more like a lot of it is how can you sell a more expensive package than what they're currently doing and help them sell their most expensive thing? What subject line is better and why? I can bring you specifically these type of people, or that's how you can put your business in front of any specific customers they want. 3, that's how your competitor booked an extra 10K a month. Dental implants and patients every month. 4, you hit 100 reviews. Now it's easy to get blah, blah, blah. So my experience with subject lines, the less you say, the better. I can use this example with a book. I'll use my second book because this one's kind of near and dear to my heart. Okay. So if you think about the function of a cover of a book is not to sell you everything in the damn book. It's to get you to turn it over and curiously read, does this sound interesting to me? And by the way, all sales begin this way with curiosity. So then what most people do, especially if you're old school and you're at a bookstore, I mean, this is less common on Amazon, but in my case, you open it up and there are reviews. So I got Perry Marshall. I got my mentor, Travis Sago. I got Bob Berg, the author of The Go-Giver. Jonathan Mast, my super AI wizard. Point of this is just to get you to start flipping through the book. And then we got the chapter titles. These are all like bullet points in sales copy. So there's a tendency to think the function of your subject line is to try and sell them your whole system, and you're misunderstanding what a subject line does. The point of a subject line is just to get them to open the fucking message. And I'll tell you, for us, for 20 years, what has worked is, hey, name, question about business name. That's the two that have worked the best. Hey, Frankie, question about beyond the agency box. Those are the ones that statistically, we've run a lot of tests. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to tell them the whole system, the whole thing in one message, and then it's not succinct. And remember, high ticket sales begin with curiosity. So you're jumping ahead. Jason Kanigan, by the way, calls this the two sales. Sale number one is this a good idea in general? Sale number two is use me. And most of the sale people misunderstand is actually the first sale, not the second. So you're already trying to tell them about the second sale, the system, how great it is. Why me? Okay. So like we had somebody earlier that was saying they do Facebook ads. Okay. If I'm talking to a personal injury lawyer, like which is a niche I've worked in extensively, the first sale is you, Mr. Personal Injury Lawyer, need to be running Facebook ads, and here's why. And the second sale is use me and my system. And if I skip to the second sale and go use me and my system, they haven't even decided they're going to run Facebook ads at all. So they're not going to pick me. They're just not. So most of the sale is, in your case, like if you're going to be doing, I don't know how you're going to run them that campaign, but most of the sale is let me show you what you could be doing to get those veneer patients. And then when it's established, you're right, we should be running Facebook ads, or we should be doing a database reactivation, or we should be doing this AI voice solution, or whatever the fuck it is you sell. Only then you can say, like, let me show you what it would look like to get my help to implement it. If you skip the first and go straight to the second, you're going to be perpetually disappointed because like they haven't even decided they want it. And a lot of people, when they skip that, they just leapfrog you, right? Like, for example, like, you know, using a dating analogy, if I say, hey, would you be interested in dating my neighbor, Wendy? That's a hand raiser. But if I just skip straight to, let me tell you, Wendy, why she's going to make the perfect person for you and why you guys need to go on a date and why you're going to have amazing children and stuff like that. You just like, you've leapfrogged where the person's at. They haven't even mentally decided that they're even interested in Wendy. So taking this to subject lines, you're just trying to say too much in all those subject lines. You're just trying to say, you're already, I'll get you 4+ reviews. Now it's easy. All of that is like, you're already trying to sell them the second sale, the whole system, instead of just trying to get them to open the fucking book. Just try and get them to open the fucking book. And the thing, by the way, that gets them to open the book more than anything else is not to tell them about your system, is to tell them about them. Right? Hey, Frankie, or question about beyond the agency box is about the client, not about you and your system. So a lot of you guys, like, you have to take your focus off your own fucking system. That's the biggest reason you can't sell it, is because they don't care about your system. They never will. They don't care about, I got a million bazillion. You're already like trying to launch into the system instead of just get them to open the book with curiosity. And I see this mistake like religiously made in cold outreach, where people are trying to jump right to the second sale and tell everybody about how awesome their system is to a stranger. And they're like, if you do it enough times, you will get somebody to buy it from you, but like not at a consistent rate. You'll have very, very low batting averages, and you'll have to make it up with a shit ton of volume, which is what everybody else does. But if you get them to raise their hand, say, I'm interested, and then you give it to them the first sale in idea form, you're far more likely to make the second sale. I know, for example, if I show a personal injury lawyer, here's why the best cases you're ever going to get for cheaper on Facebook ads, and you can qualify them for these 4 things, all the things you want. I know that when they go to implement Facebook ads, there's only one choice: the guy who showed you how to get you what you want in the first place. So most of the sale is the first sale. You need to be doing blank. Here's why. Not pick me, my system, what I created, our And most people misunderstand that. And so they create messaging and content trying to tell everybody about their system. And it's just like, just internet jerking off, trying to blast your seed everywhere. Do I run cold emails? Then also talk about best cold email works if you describe. I haven't run cold email for many, many years because I don't need to. And I think it's the least efficient way of doing it. But having said that, I teach people every single fucking day of my life how to do it because I know how to do it. Having said that, when I send cold emails, I send to what I call a shoe store, which is somebody who has an audience in the space. So for example, M.A. Rahman here just asked about, I'm trying to get into dentists. If it was me, I would not be trying to message 10,000 dentists. I would just find the top dental podcast and like pitch them a show idea. That would be my cold DM. And they more than likely, because I know what they're looking for, would have me on their show and I'd get in front of 10,000 dentists all at once. And that would save me 9,999 messages I don't have to send. And then I might message the dental conference owner, and then I might message the dental magazine publisher, and I might message the guy who wrote the book for all the dental. And then I might message the guy who created the dental CRM, and hey, we should co-create something too. And in an hour, I'd have like 10 of the biggest people in the industry all cross-promoting my shit. And I would suddenly get on the radar of like hundreds of thousands of dentists all at once. And they would, in their mind, they would have discovered me. That's how I like to do it. And then when I create cool stuff like the podcast, I like to take pieces of that and turn those into ads, because if they worked as organic content, they'll probably work as ads too, and amplify it with ads. And I think, I don't teach it as much because honestly, like a large percentage of the agency space are beginners, and beginners gravitate to cold outreach for two reasons: because it's free and it's easy to understand. But what I'm describing is also free. It's just not easy to understand. You got to identify everybody in your space who has an audience. You co-create valuable stuff. They distribute it to the audience they already have. As a result, you get discovered by tens of thousands of people in your industry. They come to you, and then we finish the process on video. And then when those videos work and those content pieces work, we turn that shit into ads and amplify the shit out of it. And for most of you guys, if you got a $2,000 a month thing, you need exactly 42 clients to become a millionaire, just in case you were wondering. So you can get 42 clients pretty quickly doing that. Can I get your book on Amazon, or where's the best place? I got 2 books. So agency book, I'll put a link to both for you. There's the agency book. And then we also have a book that I call Deal Making. It's about deal making. And that is where you get the second book. If you want physical copies, they're both sold on Amazon. But those are cheaper digital copies. Not going to lie, every time I watch your stuff, straight up sauce, just got your book. Right now, my Loom outreach is super personalized. I do it via LinkedIn. It's tough to do it in volume. Yeah, but you don't need volume. You need it in front of the right people in the beginning. Like, I think that's actually more important than, like, everybody thinks like blast 10,000 messages. And I almost every day I talk to people who go like, I'm sending 10,000 messages and they're not being delivered and they're all being marked as spam and it's not working. How do I send 30,000? I'm like, how about we just send one that works? And I did a video on this. There's a free training on this channel. You guys can watch it after if you want. It's called Less But Better Agency Lead Generation. And I showed how I identified 5 people that I just knew would be perfect candidates for a service that we're selling. I sent messages to 5 and we signed up 3. And like, why do we need to send hundreds of messages when you can really, really hyper focus and send messages to 5 and sign 3? Chapter 11 was wild. I don't actually remember which one is chapter 11, but I'm glad it was wild. Micah says in the past few years, LinkedIn has gotten super flooded super quickly. So I would see it as a third resource. Yeah, LinkedIn has definitely gotten tougher. I think every platform that is like sort of mainstream has gotten tougher in that regards. because AI has just made them noisier. Like people can send more messages, ergo people are more distracted. It's harder to stand out. I think like the super personalized thing is the ultimate way to stand out from that. Yeah, like it's hard to do a bunch of volume, but it's like, do you want people to respond or do you want to just like blast automated shit that nobody responds to? I'm reaching out to cybersecurity founders who do content. I run lead gen via LinkedIn and cold email. Ideas on how to reach out to them. They may not have massive audiences. If it was me, I would find out where cybersecurities get all their info from. Like, I would want to know what cybersecurity conference they go to, what podcasts they listen to, what communities they already belong to, what books they're reading, what events they're going to, what services they're buying. Are there industry associations in there? And I would get my shit in front of them and make them discover me. Like, that's how I would do that. But if as far as if you want to reach out to them, like the more you show them, like if I was going to reach out, it would be like, hey, you got this cool piece of content. I bet you if we amplified that with some ads, we could get even more people to it. The ayahuasca trip. Yeah. I've had a few of those. I had one this year, actually, early January or late January, early February. So I had like 2.5 weeks down in the jungle this year. Hayla, I see the part 2 already. You answer questions so well. I love you. All right. I love you guys too, man. For real. I mean this. I only do this because you guys are fun to me. Just so you guys know. I got into this by accident. Just so you guys know, I didn't wake up one day and I'm like, I want to coach and mentor other agency owners. It was like totally by accident. I based my Loom off your training, but adapted. Would you mind if I share the Loom video with you to your email and you can roast me and also boost your ego? I will happily roast you. Yeah, send it to me. Just so you guys know, I'm happy to look at your stuff. I watch everything in double speed, which is how I'm able to get through a lot more shit. The blue butterflies, yeah. Still seeing blue butterflies. That place has definitely changed how I see existence. Let's just say that. But it's cool. It's cool. Balancing the growing a business with having, and in fact, my last one was a really interesting thing because it was the first time I've been down there. Well, they have Starlink. So, historically they're in the jungle and they have shitty internet, but, or no internet when I first went down there, but now they actually have like Starlink. And so you can run like real meetings and shit. And, so, like we're having mystical experiences at night and I'm waking up and running like normal, regular, like, Zoom meetings or content and things like that, with my team and whatnot. It's an interesting thing. Yeah. 1111 got lots of that too. Lots of that. Although I've had so many synchronicities for so long doing this, Micah, that I just consider all that normal at this point. Like it's not even ain't no thing but a chicken wing. I'm like, that's just how it is. But I remember in the beginning, it was so mind blowing when I'd start getting synchronicities. Now I just get them all day long, every day. I'm like, oh, another synchronicity. Well, cool. That looks like all the questions. Just one thing I wanted to say for you guys is that we are having an event in Los Angeles. And you guys, if you want to join, the option will still be there for you later, but I have a special on ticket prices where they're half off for anybody who wants to be an early bird. So right now they're going to be $800 full price, but right now you can get them for $400 and you can even split it up into payments. So, whatever works. You guys want to come though. The purpose of this event is we're going to build your Loom shit on the spot, like actually tweak your offers and your messaging and help you guys get that sumbitch dialed in. So if you guys want to come to that, I think it's going to be an awesome time and good vibes in general. And I don't really have anything else to say on that other than like right now you can get the early bird pricing. You guys can still get it later. It'll just cost you more money. I'm sitting real hard right now. Your good vibes. I'm part of a mentorship program and I swear your free live chat right now is sick ass. And for sure, I'll hunt you down for your email and share it with you. Yeah, I'm not hiding, just so you guys know. I'll put my email in the chat if you guys got some shit you want me to look at. There you go. Really appreciate your videos. Appreciate you guys. Send us email about your ayahuasca trip. Yeah, I actually have one in the session of there. But how do you join your mastermind and other stuff? Right now we got a waiting list, brother. But all our stuff is on our website, beyondagencyprofits.com. The mastermind specifically is right here. I'm about to open the doors again, but I've been putting it off just because I was actually going to open it probably this week, and then we had the car had like buying a car in Mexico is just, oh my God, it's just so much more complicated than any other fucking place I've ever lived. What time do I normally do these lives? Usually 10 o'clock my time. It's a little tricky because half the year we're on Mountain Time and half the year we're on Pacific because Mexico doesn't do daylight savings. But right now we're on Pacific. So usually Monday morning around 10 a.m. Pacific. What hotel is the event at? It's called the Hilton Garden Segundo, which is basically it's like a 5-10 minute drive from LAX. So if you can get your ass to LAX, it's like it's a $10-20 Uber kind of thing. How much is the event? Like I said, it's going to be $800, but right now we got it on for anybody who gets their tickets in the next week and gets them early, which helps us just coordinate, figure it out. It's half price, so it'll be $400. And I think, by the way, even at 800, like I'm giving this shit away, but I love doing this shit. Like I really love doing this shit. So to me, like the fact that I get paid to do this, honestly, just so you guys know, I'll give you my full transparency of why I decided to do this event. And I was like, man, if I can make this a win-win. So where I live in La Paz, it's a tiny little regional airport. It goes like 5 places. So it goes like Mexico City, it goes Tijuana, goes Guadalajara. There's like one other Mexican city it goes to. And then the one international place it goes to is LAX. And I've been wanting to take my family on more trips, but my little guy especially, he's just, he's too small. Like he's just too fucking small. And he like can't handle long trips. And so I was like, if we're going to go somewhere, I want to go somewhere where it's one direct flight. And so LAX is one of those places. So I was showing them Disneyland and Universal Studios. I want to take them both places. Disneyland because they got Frozen for my little girls, and Universal Studios because they got a Nintendo Land. My little guy just loves Mario, and like walking through Mario Land is just going to blow his fucking mind. And I was like, man, I want to go there. I want to go Disneyland and Universal Studios, but they're kind of like relatively expensive, and LA is just an expensive place in general. And then I was like, how can I make this a win-win and get paid to do this and help some other people make some money? And then I was like, okay, why don't I turn it into we'll do an event and then we'll do a family thing right after, and we'll get paid to go to Disneyland, and we'll make other people be able to sell their shit on video. And so I'm like, that's how I came up with it. Just being real with you guys. Like, let's get paid to go to Disneyland and make other people's shit awesome. And so for me, it's a lot easier in person to help you guys tweak your videos and stuff like that, because I can see it in real time. And what's different from this than a lot of events is a lot of events are like workshop, or a lot of events are you listen to speakers, you take notes, you listen to speakers, you take notes, and you go home and you got a fucking to-do list of like 45 things, and you're lucky if it gets done. This is going to be workshop style. So like, I'll teach you the thing, and then we spend the next hour doing it, and there's no speakers. There's nothing to catch up on. Let's like actually build it. Let's build your hand raisers. Let's tweak your offer. Let's run your messaging. Let's put this in real time and see what happens. And then, we'll continue forwards, but like you'll actually leave with a done list, not with a to-do list. That's what I want to, that's my vision for this. So if you guys want to make your shit sell through video, you can certainly figure it out on your own. And I've had many people just take my free shit and do it. But also, like, I think you'll do it a whole bunch faster, easier, less mistakes if you can do it in person. And so I'm giving this shit away just so I can take my family to Disneyland. So can I briefly talk about the service review management? What do you want to know about it? You got a good way of automating reporting for clients. Feels like it'll be a different version of a full-time job. That's right. Hey, I'll tell you what's worked for us. You could probably use AI to do this. So I used to do like every reporting tool you could imagine. So like when I did SEO for the first 10 years, there's all these fucking tools, and every tool that you could possibly try, I tried. And they would always make these pretty charts and graphics and reports. And every single fucking client said the same thing. They said, Said, looks great, but this might as well be hieroglyphs. Can you call me and tell me what this means? And I lamented having another meeting explaining what the fucking report meant. And like this just went on for years and years. And I remember there was a client who said, like, we just couldn't sync up schedules. He said, how about you just make me a little video explaining what the report means and send it? And so I made a little 2-minute screen recording video. Back in those days, they didn't even have Loom. It was called Jing, was the screen recording software. And they had another one, Camtasia. It was made by the same company. But, I used one of those. I don't remember which one. And I sent it to him. The client was like, this is perfect. It was just like a 2-minute thing. And they were like, this is perfect. Can you send me that? And I did 4 things. I went, here's what we're doing. Here's why we're doing it. Here's how it's going. Here's what you can expect next. What we're doing, why we're doing it, how it's going, what you can expect next. 2 minutes, just rapid fire through it. And so I'll give you like an example. Like for us, it would be SEO. I'd be like, hey, Dr. Smith, here's what we're working on this week. We've been building out a bunch of content linking to your main site. I got some press releases published. I wrote these blog articles. We got all these things. We've been social media bookmarking them and so forth. And the reason we're doing that is because, right now your main competitor, Dr. Johnson over there, has 2,000 links and you only got 1,400. So we need to bridge the gap at least 600 to tie them and probably a bunch more to pass them. And so we're just creating a mountain of cool content. Here's how it's going. Last month, you were number 19 for your main keyword. Now you're on the bottom of the first page. We got you on number 9. And we're just going to keep moving you up. I'm hoping by next month, we can get you probably to number 6. And as long as we just keep inching forward, we'll eventually get you to number 1. Anyways, appreciate you. You can see this report next month. And when we templatize that, eventually I could train account managers. But those 2-minute screen updates, like when I say we sell through video, we also report through video, we hire through video. Like my agency is phoneless throughout, not just in the getting clients. It's, we don't meet with you, we send you video updates. It's, we don't hire employees by doing interviews. We send you a video, you submit your details for the project, we hire based on that. So that's kind of how that works. But, that's the gist of it, basically. Can you frame the hand raiser for contractor for review management? So yeah, so like it helps to understand the problem solved from reviews. So one of them is you're not being found in the first place. So what happens when you're not found? Either your work is like inconsistent. So it's like up and down from week to week, or you don't have work for your guys, your team, your crew, your paralegal, your dental assistant, whatever. So, and then also the types of inquiries you get are like tire kickers. So, I might like, hey, if you're getting, contractor, if you don't have steady work for your guys and you're settling for these, small leak repair kind of roofs, like roof repairs, we can help you get more of the full roofing installs by getting you the most and best reviews in your market. If you'd like to see how that would work, drop a comment. Like that's basically it. Yeah, that's what I was going to say, Hayla, is I'm sure you could automate that with AI. I'm sure you could automate that. But here's what we're doing. Here's why we're doing it. Here's how it's going. Here's what you can expect next. Like 2 minutes. Plain English. We have a guy actually in our mastermind. He started when he was first working with me. He was at like 80,000 a year. So that's like good, like not shit. But he's doing like 3.5 million a year now. And one of the biggest secrets is he gets all kinds of reviews. And one of the reasons he gets reviews is he does a lot of what I call drive-by updates. And they're just 2 to 4 times a week. He touches the client. They're 3-4 sentences, plain English, and they're the little report updates I mentioned. And clients love him for it because they're used to radio silence, 30-day wait, then end of month report. Radio silence, 30 days, end of month report. That's how most agencies do it. And he's touching them 2 to 4 weeks. Hey, just letting you know, I'm working on this link thing. Here's what we can expect. Hey, I'm changing this thing around. Hey, I'm making some updates to your website. And he puts on them at the start of all of them, no need to respond. So clients don't feel like they have to say anything. And clients love it. They love him for his communication, not because he does better SEO than any other person. And like, we've started to build the AI infrastructure to automate that. We'll share with you when I do. Yeah, cool. Is a niche YouTube channel good for middle of funnel content on its own, or is content not really worth doing unless you're creating with audience owners? No, I mean, I wouldn't be doing a YouTube channel if it wasn't worth it. Yeah, I'll use the Cliff Notes version totally. But so as far as YouTube and content in general, most people misunderstand how content works, and I see this all the time where people post content, they do it for less than 30 days, they do not get any business from it, and they conclude it's not working. But if you think of high ticket sales as a golf course, the magic of YouTube or any other content media is it allows you to move people up the fairway one to many. I think actually maybe a better analogy, high ticket sale is more like an American football game. So if you guys ever watch football, like American football, not like the one where you don't use your feet, but they still call it football, that one with quarterbacks and helmets and like Sunday on Fox, Aaron Rodgers versus Tom Brady, like that one. Sometimes when people score a touchdown, it's like one play, 80 yards, and they go the whole field on one play. But much more common is like 16 plays of 73 yards, and they use 7.5 minutes on the clock. And so the way you score a touchdown is you get 4 yards, and then you get a 7-yard gain, first down, new set of drives, and you just like keep inching forward. What happens all the time with content is people do it for 30 days. And in the beginning, the algorithm doesn't really love you. And there's this unseen effect of like when people first hear about you, they're starting at the 1 yard line. They know nothing about you. And then they might consume your content and be at the 50-yard line. But nobody gives you money at the 50-yard line. And so I see this all the time as people run content and then they go, nothing's happening. I got a couple of likes and whatever. And they don't realize that like people who've never heard of you have moved up 50 yards. And the magic of it is you do it one to many, right? Like right now at the time of doing this live, there's 21 people live. So like, for me, that's moving the conversion mechanism simultaneously 20 people. And then, like usually the replays of this get 500 to 1,000 people. So I can make one piece of content and simultaneously be nudging the ball forwards with 1,000 people at once, right? And you can do the same thing in your channel and your audience and whatever, which is why I'm telling you about it. But almost always people have false expectations. So they create a channel. They underestimate how much noise there is on YouTube or any other platform. They do it for less than 30 days and they go, I'm not rich, and they quit. And you almost have to like not only do it for like 30 days, but then continue. So usually what happens is like after 90 days, you can barely even tell it's working at all. And then after like 6 months, you'll start to get a trickle where you start to get a little bit of business and you start getting inquiries. And it's like, okay, it's kind of working, but it's not really worth it. And after a year, it's like, holy shit, this is the smartest thing I ever did. And then after like 2-3 years, you start actually becoming known. And after like 3 years, you start getting like quoted as an industry expert. And most people don't stick with it long enough to get to that point. And the reason is it's a compounding asset. So I don't know if you guys have ever seen the numbers on compounding wealth, like compound interest, but I'll give you an example of the power of compound interest. There was a guy who's a US postal worker. He got a $24,000 settlement. And he put it in index funds. So for those of you guys who are not investors, index funds are like you get a share of the top 500 companies in the world. So you don't own like one company, you own like a little piece of like 500 different companies. And the 500 companies that are in the top change from year to year, but whatever the top 500 companies are that year, you get a little piece. Anyways, it's average like 10 or 11% return. And what happened is he put it in and waited 30 years. How much do you think 24,000 in 30 years was worth after compound interest? The answer was $1.8 million. So he had almost like $2 million from 24 Gs, right? And most people can't like wait. And by the way, most of the compound, it happens towards the end when your interest starts making interest and that interest starts making interest, right? So YouTube is a lot like that. When you got 6 videos working for you, like each of those might be a little drip of eyeballs, then all of a sudden you have 60 videos and you got a drip. And when you have 600 videos, and then eventually you might have 6,000. When you get 6,000, it's like it's filling swimming pools. And like now it's like we're trying to get rid of the excess water. Most people just don't stick with it long enough. They just like literally don't stick with it long enough. And part of the reason is they have false expectations. I don't blame it. I started a lawyer YouTube channel like 12 years ago, 13 years ago. I batch recorded 30 videos. thought I would put them up and it would just like rain business, and it didn't work. And so I gave up on it. And that channel today, by the way, has like 500 subscribers after 12 years. And what I didn't think about is those videos would stay live for like 13 years. By the way, after 4 years, I hadn't made a video for 4 years. Whatever reason, the algorithm started showing some of my videos, and I started getting like consulting gigs from shit that I made. So those videos have been working for me for like almost the last 9 years, where I still get like lawyer inquiries from videos, and I haven't touched the channel in like literally 13 years, 14 years. So had I known that those videos would stay live that long and compound for that long, I was like, shit, I would have done way more of those. It's what we call in the investing world a long-term asset. Like you're creating long-term digital assets. And so too many people are just expecting it to work quickly. And then when it doesn't, they give up and they're like, fuck that shit. So I see it all the time. For every person who starts YouTube, I'd say for every 20 people I know who start YouTube, 18 of them have given up with it after 30 days. Only usually 1 or 2 of them will stick with it for 90 days. And one person will just keep going. And every single time, like I can think Matt's coming to our LA event. Matt's like approaching $1 million agency now. And, he's been in the Wolfpack a few years. And one of the things he said to me, he's like, you're right. YouTube is my number one driver of revenue. I wish I had known that years ago. And I was like, see, I told you. And all I told him is he was doing these lives in Facebook. And I said, just take the recordings of the lives on Facebook and stick them on YouTube, because you'll get 2 uses out of them instead 1. And you'll take your short-term asset and turn it into a long-term asset. In the beginning, he was like, yeah. But then he started doing it consistently. And now all of his business is coming from YouTube. But it took a year, just so you guys know. Like, so most people like don't have a year's worth of patience. They're like, I need money right fucking now. I'm very welcome to visit Ireland one day. For sure, I would love to. Hey, I need your advice. I'm a Facebook ads expert, but when I start something first, thing come in my mind, there's some completion. I will failed. How can I change this mindset? Well, you're going to fail. Just, lots in this. I think it's not like not thinking you're not supposed to fail. It's redefining what failure is. To me, like, I'll tell you where I actually learned how to fail is from video games. So like in the beginning, like I used to like, it really stressed me out anytime I would try shit and it didn't work out. And I remember it first clicked in. I was playing Legend of Zelda, and in the game, I had to get some armor. And the armor was a fuck ton of money in the game. It was like more money than the character had. And I didn't have any qualms about it. I didn't have any hangups. There's no mindset work I had to do. I was just like, in my mind, I was like, where can you get money in this game? And then I thought of 3 places, and I was like, boom. You can warp in the game. So I just warped to one place. Let's go get the fucking money. 10 minutes later, I had like the mountain of cash that I needed. And one day I was like, why can't I do that in real life? Why? And I realized I was just way too attached to outcomes. And what I was doing is in real life, I was creating meaning. So when shit didn't work out, it meant I was a loser. When shit did work out, it meant I was a winner and I'm awesome. But in the video games, it was just a fucking game. It didn't mean anything. I wasn't any cooler because I had the armor. Nobody high-fived me. And so I just started applying that to my real life. Like, it's just a fucking game. It's just a game. Video game, by the way, you die like 27 times in a row. You still get up and try the 28th time to beat the same fucking level. Hey, Frankie, does your digital omnipresence only work with clients who are already spending lots of money on marketing? No, but they have to have some flow of traffic. Whether they can have like organic flow and you can digitally omnipresence retarget it. But they have to have a level of flow. There has to usually, like as a general baseline, they have to have at least 1,000 visitors a month to be able to retarget. I'm starting the strategy with two to 3 days for my client. Yeah, it's cool. I want to add warm call follow-ups when the lead replies, speed to lead, like you said. Any advice? I plan to incorporate it in my service too. You're talking like for your own stuff, like when a lead replies to you about your service, or you want to do this for your clients? I mean, I think it's a good idea in general. So I don't know what you're looking for, but speed to lead is never a bad thing. Just, I wish you luck, man. Thanks. You can join me if you want. How was your weekend? Pretty tame, to be honest, because I'm still, it's a holiday week here and I'm trying to buy a car since I had a car accident. And it's just really complicated. People in Mexico, like they just move slow around here. It's like not all of Mexico, but where I live, there's a mañana attitude. It's like, we live in paradise, slow down, enjoy the day. So if you want to do anything in a day, they have masterful ways of making shit take longer that, in my opinion, shouldn't take that long. So without a car, basically, I'm not a whole lot. A friend gave us a loaner car, but it's like a total piece of shit, and I don't want to drive it any more than absolutely necessary. So it's just like it's the grocery machine, not anything else. It's not like the go do fun shit. But I should have the car thing sorted in the next day or two. I fail at video games too. Exactly. Yeah, we all fail at video games. Like that's the whole point. You fail a whole bunch of games, but you don't make it mean anything. You don't go, "Oh my god, I'm a loser. I failed level 2." You know. But in real life, we do. Like I sent a proposal that I thought I had the sale. I'm a loser. Like you just stop. The more you treat it like a game, the more you'll. And what I've replaced the meaning is I'm awesome. I'm a loser, whether it wins or loses. Is I've replaced it with curiosity. So when it works, I wonder why that worked. When it doesn't work, I wonder why that didn't work. That's it. You get really curious about people, but I don't let it mean shit about me. It's made it for I can just have more fun trying shit too. If a roofing company's already running Google ads, what service would be best to add on, SEO or voice AI? Both. I think both could make sense. Although I would tell you they probably are already doing SEO if they're doing Google ads. More than likely, those two things go together. So if I was going to try and sell an add-on, it'd probably be voice AI, personally. Prem, I think I'm going to do GHL SaaS. Best cold calling script for selling SEO to local business, for example, to roofers. I think scripts are overrated, but like what you want to establish is that, hey, I don't know if you know this, but I just did a search for whatever keyword. And, Jack's Roofing is ahead of yours, which means every time somebody Googles full roofing installs Denver, they're finding them and not you. First question I have is, did you know that? And if they say yes or no, it's irrelevant. You say, would you be interested in hearing about how you could fix that? And I always I give them the idea, like turn the cold calling or first approach, whatever it is, into a give. I'm giving you the idea. I'll tell you how to fix this without me. They're not going to want to fix it without you, but I'm not trying to get you on a call. I'm not trying to persuade you. I'm not trying to convince you to do things. Like I'll tell you how to fix this problem if you want. Right? Then it's a give. I'm giving you the ideas. For my own stuff and for clients, to be honest, primarily for clients, but I'm right now I'll just be me doing the calls. Not sure if you know of a better way without hiring because I'm still at zero revenue. Yeah, and just it's normal to start out at zero revenue. As far as warm calls, like if it was me, like anything that's call related, my foot in the door would not be I got a better system than your system. It'd be let me handle evenings and weekends and any calls you miss. Because what most people don't realize is when you create an add-on offer, I call this an add-on versus replacement. Replacement offer is I can do what you're doing better. An add-on is like, this is dessert that goes with your dinner. If you try and sell replacement, you have to convince them to fire somebody. You don't realize that that's the barrier to the sale, but it is. So if they're already doing SEO and you say, hey, I can do SEO better than them, well, they have to fire their existing company before they can hire you. You might have to wait a while before they get fed up with that person and fire them before you move in on that sort of turf. Flip side of that is if you have like something complementary. So the reason I say that is if you're trying to sell, hey, we'll be your warm leads person, they probably have a person. And so in their mind, like, I'm not going to fire my receptionist and put in your thing. But evenings and weekends, it's like you don't have anybody for that. So let me just handle the overflow. People are still going to call your Google ads and all those things on the evenings and weekends. Let me handle the bookings on those. That's how I would get my foot in the door personally. I'm not saying it's the only way, but that's how I would do it. How do you approach a white label partnership? For example, if my niche was real estate agents in Miami and my offer to them was getting qualified appointments, also do I learn the service first? It's pretty easy to approach white label partnerships. Like you just tell them what you want to hire them for. And then if you're ready to pay them, you pay them. If you're not, you can say, hey, I want to know how this would work so that when I go get a client, I know what to say. And they're used to those conversations, by the way. Like you can reach out to a white label partner and say, let's talk about what it would look like after we get somebody so I can know what to say and know what you need and all that. But it's no different than like like say a guy builds a house, he's a home builder, but he doesn't do electrical or plumbing. And so when he gets to the electrical, he hires a subcontractor to do the electrical. And when he gets to the plumbing, he hires a plumber to do, he'll mark up their wages and make some money off of it, but he's not doing the plumbing. He's not doing the electrical. He's bringing in a subcontractor. Same kind of relationship, you know? Hey, I want to subcontract you for electrical. Tell me what that would look like. Like, that's it. That's how you approach them. They're not hard. Generally speaking, people are not hard to talk to when you're trying to give them money. They're hard to talk to when you're trying to get them to give you money. But when you're trying to give them money, which generally speaking, you're trying to give a white label partner money, those are not hard conversations. I want one more advice. I'm a 21-year-old student from Pakistan. I'm always looking for a good mentor, but in my country, I never find. I want to work under people like you to change my mindset. Certainly it's harder in some parts of the world than others. And just so you know, if you're in Pakistan or India or Bangladesh or like, you know, some of the places that have a bad reputation as a whole, if you want to get your shit off the ground, you're going to have to do two things, generally speaking. One, you're going to have to get good enough at English that you don't, you know, sound like an uneducated foreigner. Like, you don't have to be perfect at it, but the better you are at English, the better it's going to be for you. And then secondly, you're going to have to put more of the risk on yourself. So just, you know, I've worked with some, like I have a guy like named Tulsi who does a lot of my technical shit. He's from India. He's not from Pakistan, but the same kind of thing. But I've worked with him for like 15 years. More than a decade. And part of the reason is we started small, just like, hey, let's do some little thing together. And then he stood behind his work and like, just was always there for me. And like, now he's got a team and stuff like that. But like the biggest fear people have, I'll tell you right now, like, cause I've hired a lot of people like on Fiverr, like on Fiverr, for example, I've hired more than 1,000 people. And a general pattern when you hire people from India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, if I'm saying it correctly, before they take your money, they're super responsive. They're easy to reach. No problem, no problem, no problem. And then after they take your money, all of a sudden they won't return messages. They're hard to reach. And I can't tell you like the number of times my mother got sick like right after I hired you. Like 25% of people I've ever hired, their mother got sick right after I hired them, right? What are the odds of that? And so one of the simplest things you can do is just start small shit and stand behind it. I know it sounds like small, but you'd be amazed. There's tons of work from first world people that want to outsource, but many of them have had the same experience I've had where it's all, I'll say the right things before I take your money. But what you're really trying to do is get in the door with something small to sell a bigger thing. Like Tulsi, I think we did like a $25 gig when I first met him. So like something small, but I've given the guy like tens of thousands of dollars over, 15 years, probably more. Right. So it, like you got to just approach that like that. I just got one client on, complete result based on he runs junk removal or home modeling, and I will run Facebook ads for him, but I don't know either do I AI UGC ads or tell him to replicate winning ads with this script. One of the biggest things you can do to help like local businesses in general, whether it's junk removal or home remodeling or whatever, help them come up with a fucking offer. And generally speaking, their offers are non-existent. They just go, call us when you feel like it, and we'll give you an estimate. And the more you can come up with like winning offers, and if you're not sure, like brainstorm it with ChatGPT. And the easiest way to take a boring local business offer and make it exciting is just add bonuses that are other cool shit that have nothing to do with you. You can throw in a massage. You can throw in a Starbucks gift card. You can throw a dinner for two at the fancy restaurant. Like, hey, get your kitchen right now, and we'll also include dinner for two at Chez Frankie, whatever. And then when you turn those on in ads, they tend to work better. But if you're not sure what to run for ads, the first place I'd do is go to the Facebook ad library and see what's already winning in that industry already. And you can also check out Upex from Sam Carlson. They have a winning ads library, and I believe he's got a free trial. So you can like swipe and deploy winning ads in that industry. But local businesses, one of the advantages local businesses have over us is our shit usually requires education, right? Because like an AI voice solution, people don't know what it is, how it works. They haven't been exposed to it a million times. So you got to educate them first on how it works. This is not true for local businesses. Like people know what fucking junk removal is and when they need one. So a lot of times, like you can skip the education stage because they've already been educated. Like we have Lana in our mastermind. She runs ads for yoga studio owners. It's just a fucking offer. Like, here's why you got to come join our studio. We got a 6-week package. It'll blow your fucking mind, right? That's it. Like she just sells it because like all it needs is an offer. That's all it needs. So to me, like if you can nail that piece, you can scale the living fuck out of it with Facebook ads. Got to drop, but appreciate everything. We'll email you soon. You got it, Hayla. Hi, Frankie. My question is, what are the steps from the very, very beginning to reach out to potential prospects before sending them the Loom video for AI voice agent? Mary Beth. So just so you know, before I even message anybody, like basic steps here. First thing I do is I always run market research bot. Always. So I'm going to put market research bot here again. So I guess actually the first step, actually, even before you reach out to anyone, is decide on who you're going to do it for. In other words, pick a niche. And people like overcomplicate the shit out of this. They think, oh, if I pick the wrong niche, I'm going to be broke forever and it's going to be hard. Part of the reason people like me tell you to pick a niche is because it just scales easier after you get clients, because you're just doing the same thing over and over. So it's not like you're finding some secret source of money. It's more just like, let's make your messaging on point. Let's make your system scalable. So like decide who you're going to do it for. Is like before you send a single message, get clear. Who are we going to send messages to? Second thing, okay, to me, run the market research bot, figure out what problems they're actually trying to solve with an AI voice solution in their words, not in yours. Like, hey, we get way too many tire kickers that just call about $59 tune-ups. That's a better message than, hey, we got an AI voice solution, right? So you want to get clear on the problems as they experience it, okay? Now, before I message anybody, I want to get a targeted list of people spending money in your industry. Easiest 2 ways I've found to get a targeted list. I mean, I guess there's a couple of ways, but find the people who are already spending money on Google ads and Facebook ads. So Facebook ads has a library. You can search Facebook ads library. You can find everybody who's spending on Facebook ads in your industry. Google, same thing. If you just type in roofer Denver, like anybody who's advertising, there are tools like SEMrush is a tool. ChatGPT can find people with the deep research function. You can say, find me all the roofers advertising. Coldlytics is another tool, but you got to get a list of people that have proven to spend money, or you're going to be wasting your fucking time messaging anyone, because you're going to message people who don't buy the shit you sell. And then you'll go, why isn't this working? Right. I say, like, if I had a business book to sell, homie over here reads a lot of business books. I also got a younger brother, never read a business book in his life, probably never will. Okay. If you just untargeted start messaging people about your business book, you're going to message my brother and he's never going to buy a business book, no matter what you say. Right. So we want to message people that have a proven history of buying it. Then before I send them anything, I get them to raise their hand. I'd say, hey, are you getting tire kickers? Like, this is when you actually message them. It's like, hey, if you're getting tire kickers who, keep asking you about $59 tune-ups, or you're getting, in this case, AI voice agents, you're getting spam calls from Angie's List or whatever. I figured out how to eliminate those and replace those with homeowner bookings. Can I send you a little info on it? Can I send you a little video on it? Get their permission before you just hammer them. And then it's only then that I would send them a video. But like, those are the kind of steps beforehand. Final question I have, Frankie, is how do you cold email shoe stores when they're struggling to reach out? I've also used your shoe store GPT. So before I message a shoe store, there's a prerequisite thing. I take 2 minutes. I scan through their website and their social. It might take you a little longer first time you do it. It might take you 10 minutes. But I go through their social media and social, and I look at all the content they're posting. And then I ask myself, how can I make my content fit into their content? So in the case of the restoration industry, like, they were publishing little 5-minute Ask the Experts interview. So my pitch was, hey, I got a cool idea for Ask the Experts 5-minute interview. I'd like to be a guest on your show. And what makes that work is I know they're struggling to keep up with new interviews and keep the thing going. And so I know when I show up and say, I got an idea for you, like I'm basically doing their work for them. But that's basically, it's like the 5 minutes of research of figuring out what they're already doing and how your stuff fits into them. That's how you message them. I was planning to build audience like you. Why are you not using YouTube ads to grow fastly? Dude, my YouTube ads been seen 100 million times. I don't think you know what my YouTube ad stats are, but you wouldn't be saying that if you saw our numbers. I get 5-cent clicks, just so you guys know, for my YouTube ads. So I say, like, people look at vanity metrics, likes, comments, subscribers, not sales. I'm winning the sales game. I'm not winning the vanity metrics game. I don't care if I become internet famous or not. That's not my goal. If as a side effect, cool, but that's, I'm not trying to be like, Mr. Beast. People recognize me on the street. The opposite. I'd actually rather walk down the street with my family and be left alone. Same hand raiser process for a free website mockup. Yes, but remember, you're not selling the website. You're selling who the website will bring them. Like I said, when I sold to plastic surgeons, the difference between I'll make you a website and I'll make you a website that brings you mommy makeover patients, it is the same in terms of fulfillment, right? Like we're making a website on WordPress. But I'll tell you, the one where it's attached to an outcome, in this case, mommy makeover patients, lands harder. So if you're going to sell mock-ups, be clear about what thing of theirs you're going to sell on the website. That matters a great deal to them. Yeah, I saw your YouTube ads yesterday. There you go. See? 100 million times I've been seen. Just, actually, that's not true. Let me actually pull up the stats right now in real time. Tell you what my Google ads say. Why are you not running YouTube ads? Why are you not seeing my YouTube ads is a better question. I've had 407,000 clicks. 85 million times our ads have been seen, 5-cent clicks, and I've spent about $22,000 on that. But we're just, we're running YouTube ads. You don't need to tell me to run YouTube ads. Thanks, Frankie Lee. I recently started learning AI voice agents, and I recently came across your YouTube page and love your vibe. Thanks for all you give. The info you share is super helpful. You guys got it. I mean, just so you guys know, part of the fun for me in this, like, I'll give you guys just a little backstory. Not that this matters all that much, but it was probably year 12, 13. I started to like really do well. And we had figured out two things that were making money. I was running Facebook ads to a webinar funnel, and I was speaking at a lot of the industry conferences. And between those, just so you guys know, I was adding between $10,000 and $50,000 a month in recurring revenue every month. And it started like stressing the fuck out of my systems. And in the meantime, I had some friends that were like agency owners and coaches and stuff. And they're like, can you teach us this webinar system? And meanwhile, my agency's breaking because I can barely keep up with the fulfillment. We can't hire people fast enough. Like we were scaling really, really fast. Stressed me out, but made a lot of money, but I was very stressed. And people kept asking me, can you teach me this webinar system? And I was like, no, I don't have fucking time to teach you the webinar. Like I'm running $1 million empire. Like homie got shit to do. Right. And then eventually I thought, okay, I'm not going to turn away people forever. And I talked to my manager at the time, Steven, and we said, why don't we do an event? We'll have people come and like, we'll do a workshop and we'll do this event. And I'm like, okay. So we did it, and I had 12 people. They each paid $5,000 to be there. So I made like $60,000 in a weekend, basically building this webinar system for people. And I made it a 3-day event. And to my surprise, we were finished everybody's webinar and the whole funnel and launched all the ads after a day and a half. And I was like, oh shit. Like, what do you guys want to do now? Like, I didn't have any speakers. There's no more content. It's like, we got another day and a half. And one of the guys was like, well, hey, will you run an agency? Can I ask you an agency question? And it turned into this giant agency Q&A. And two of the guys, I gave them helpful bits that I don't even remember what I said, because like it was just stuff that was obvious to me after 13 years. But I remember one of the guys, he was selling all these little $500 a month, tiny little pain in the ass clients. And I was like, dude, you need to go after the bigger people, and here's how you get them. And he went and did it. and he signed 2 government contracts for $10,000 per month, and they were guaranteed for 3 years. So he got like $20,000 a month recurring, and like he knew he was going to make $20,000 a month for like 3 straight years because government contracts, they're not going to cancel on you, kind of thing. And he told me, he said, "You didn't know this, but my wife was trying to have a baby, and we said wait till we're in a better spot financially, and I forget what they call the treatment, the fertility treatments, I forget what they're called, but he was like, waiting on that. And then once he got the contracts, he did it, and they had a baby, and that was like their 10-year dream, and they finally did it, and they were able to do that because the agency took off." I don't even fucking remember what I really said to him at the time. And I was like, holy shit, this guy had his life changed. And he came back and told me about it like a few weeks later. It wasn't immediate, but he was like, that was one of the most valuable thing that's ever happened to me. Thank you so much. And I was like, I should probably do more of this. So that's how I got into this agency, like mentorship. And it's been fun ever since, but I never woke up and said I should do this. But just so you guys know, like, it's kind of a blessing to me because like a lot of this, like the first 10 years, and I'm sure you guys can relate, you go through this stuff alone where it's like, you don't have family members. Like my mom would for 13 years, like, what is it you do again, Frankie? Like, this is legal, all right? You're not going to go to jail. Like, cause I just heard people are like selling Viagra pills and they're scamming people on the internet. Like, you're not going to get scammed, are you? No, Mom, I just rank websites. Yeah, but how does that work? What is it you do again? What is it you do again? Every year at the fucking gathering, what is it you do? So to me, it's a blessing to have you guys, do stuff with this when it's like, for me, it's like, there was 10 years where I had nobody to talk to about this shit. And it was just me going through my own shit. Do you spend money on Facebook ads and get too expensive leads? Is that a bad hook for getting a client ad? Yeah, it's kind of a bad hook. I'll tell you why. Because you want to think about it as more fundamental, the problems they experience, because you're already thinking about their problem as ads and leads, but they don't even conceptualize their problem as ads and leads. You want to describe it more as the symptom that shows up. There's about like 8 problems. I'm going to do a video on this. Actually, not in this batch, but in the next batch for this channel on this, but there's about 8 problems business owners will consistently pay you money to solve. So one of those is tire kickers. I get people who aren't serious. One of them is they're getting clients, customers, patients, but they're getting the cheapskates, the $59 tune-up, the $99 teeth whitening, the single leak repair. Another one of those is their work is seasonal. So like, I'm super busy in summer, not so busy in winter, or like, sometimes it's not seasonal. It's like, but it's cyclical, like a restaurant. Every restaurant's busy on the weekend, but nobody has shit going on Tuesday, right? It's Tuesday. They need your help, not on the fucking weekend. Another one of those is they don't have work for their guys, their team. Team costs money. So, another one of those is the business is taking in money, but after everything else and everybody's paid, ain't nothing left over for me, the owner, is payroll. Another one of those is inventory. So this isn't for every business, but the ones who have physical products and stuff. Like before they want new leads and new sales and new customers, like I need to sell the fucking, like we got Josh, for example, who works with jewelry stores. Before they want, new customers, they want to sell the jewelry they already got. That was called 2 cats trapped in my office. So there's that. I'm probably forgetting 1 or 2 of those off the top of my head. I'll make a list of those, but those are the general problems that they're paying you for. If you're thinking about it as not enough leads or frustrated with your lead quality or frustrated with your SEO, you're already 10 steps ahead of them where they're thinking, and you need to just relate it to this is what's showing up for you in your reality. And it's really, you don't know this, but your tire kicker problem is a website problem because that's who you're selling to on your website. Or it's a Google reviews problem because you don't have enough reviews. So you get the fucking cheapskates, whatever it is you're trying to sell them as a solution. But I'm going to do a deep dive video on that because if you can speak to the problems they got, they'll almost always buy the shit you're selling attached to it. Oh, by the way, since I'm reaching out to real estate agents and I want to do shoe store outreach, do I go straight to the big man like Ryan Serhant, or do I go to a person with a medium amount audience? I go straight to the top personally. It takes a little bit of brass balls / brass ovaries to like, have the like, for me, like I remember when I got into the legal industry, one of my first moves was I interviewed the top lawyer in the world. And I had 0 following. I knew 0 attorneys. I had 0 clients. I'm interviewing a guy who's almost a billionaire with a B. I'm like, hey, let me interview you. And, that kind of thing. But you can go straight to the top right on day one. God bless that man. And God bless you too, Frankie, for helping him out. Yeah, totally. It was like, it wasn't planned, by the way. It was actually just to all right, you guys want to learn my webinar system? Here it is. And a lot of the webinar system has evolved into the Loom stuff over the years, but it's the same kind of principles. Thanks, Frankie, for helping us. You got it. What are your thoughts on using outbound AI voice agents to contact businesses that have a large CRM of old leads that could be resuscitated? Would this be more beneficial to start a biz with? I probably wouldn't, because I'm pretty sure that's against the law, and I wouldn't want to do it at any scale. This is just my understanding. Don't quote me. I'm not a fucking lawyer. I'm not a, government bureaucrat. But I believe with AI stuff, outbound is illegal unless they've specifically opted in for it, and inbound is not. So if they're calling you, you can do all the AI shit you want. But if you're outbound calling and they have not explicitly said, I want to hear from you, you can get in a lot of shit from that. So I wouldn't do that personally. But having said that, like the principles, of reaching people work, and you can certainly automate and scale that and use AI to assist with that. They don't just want someone to run their ads. They're already spending money on ads and know their systems and strategy typically. So for coaches, the symptoms are a bit different. It's not actually all that different for the coaches. Like the work for my guys just changes work for my salesperson. I need calls for my salesperson, or I need work for my virtual assistant. The profit margin thing is still a thing. Hey, we signed up 22 coaching clients in the last quarter, but we still can't pay ourselves. That's still a thing. Because all the ad costs and fulfillment costs and software and tools and all that shit adds up. The coaches still deal with, we're still getting people who buy my $27 ebook, but don't buy my $40,000 mastermind. The offer then becomes, hey, I can help people to get into your $40,000 mastermind instead of buy your $27 thing. You'd be amazed. It's all the same shit. It's not really all that different from industry to industry. It just the specifics of it change. Like I don't have work for my guys is called a paralegal in one industry. It's called my contractor in another. It's called my virtual assistant in another. But it's all the same shit, just Correct. They must opt in for outbound AI. Is the market research bot that you attached earlier the same bot from your Loom video tutorial access? I got a few of them. I honestly don't remember, but it's probably the same one. Because I always start with that. Like I used to do all this market research by hand with everything, and now I just click a button and AI does it for me. But I never try and sell anything without knowing their problems and what they're trying to do. If you start with people and problems as a general rule, you'll make a lot more money than if you start with your service and your idea. Most people go, what can I do to make some money? And then they come up with an idea, and then you create things nobody wants. And the difference between they want it and don't is a 10-degree shift. Like I'll make you a website to sell mommy makeovers. It's like, it's not that different, but if you don't do the research and find out they're really trying to sell mommy makeovers, you won't be able to sell your websites very easily. All right, that's me, Frankie. Appreciate you answering my questions. I hope you have a great rest of your week and hope you get your car situation sorted out. Yeah, we'll get it sorted. I'm actually already it's just been complicated because there's a thing they call here Semana Santa. It's like the Holy Week, and they all like party on the beach and, like camp on the beach, and they move slow as fuck. That just happens to be the week I need a car. It's like Semana Santa. Yay me. And they already move slow to begin with, but I think I got it sorted. Anyways, hey, Frankie, I want to work under you as a virtual assistant to get real exposure. I'm ready to learn and put in the effort. If you're open, I'd appreciate the opportunity. Sure, dude. Shoot me a message. Email or Facebook are best, and we can talk specifics on that, because I don't necessarily know you and your skills and what you want to learn, but we can figure out a way to make it a win-win. Anyways, I guess that's all I got for you guys on this Monday. We've been going almost 3 hours, so I'm going to duck out here, eat some lunch. Appreciate you guys. Just put it one more time, just for those of you guys who missed it. But we're having a workshop in LA. You guys can get it later. It's not till June 26th, 27th. But if you want to, you can get it. You can get it half price right now for the next week and a half. And we're going to be building video closing machines. And I'm going to be there helping you guys dial this in. I mean, honestly, you guys can figure this out with my free stuff. You don't have to hire me ever. Especially if you're just starting out, you're broke. I totally understand it. I've been starting out and broke too. But if you're not, and you got a little bit of cashola and you want to do this a lot faster, that's the way to do it a lot faster. It's like, let's build it in person, and I'll help you actually like tweak it and dial it in. And LA is fun and cool. And it's, for me, a short flight. So that's all I got for you guys this Monday. Appreciate you guys. Happy Monday. May the Triforce be with you. Shocker. Much love.